How will your desire for the tobacco fix cope with that?
I'm going to take up crack instead.
From the talk of the town to the whisper of the village.
Counter number 4, please.
Breaking global sports news and the answers to questions you never even thought to ask.
Has anyone got a spoon for my kiwi fruit?
The two mics.
Just like in that film.
On Talk Sport.
We have produced a vinyl disc with content on it.
No.
Yes, we have.
How have we?
Well, what do you think we've produced?
We've produced a DVD.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are DVDs made of?
DVD is not made of vinyl.
They're made of vinyl.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics, and I'm delighted to say it's time to say a very, very good morning to Mr. Mike, a Porky, a Parry. A very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
And a very good morning to you, Mike. And I have to say, highlighting Now, listen, there were 4 Premier League games this evening, right?
Yeah.
And it's a little bit unfair. The only one that people want to concentrate on is Manchester United versus Everton.
Well, it's not the only one we'll concentrate on.
No, the other 3 games were all significant.
They were significant.
Getting their another victory. Burnley got another home win.
Well, hang on a second before we move so quickly off Leicester. I mean, more significantly for Mr. Shakespeare,
yes.
They got their 5th game win in a row in the Premier League.
And the only Englishman ever to have done that.
Yeah.
Pretty good, pretty impressive.
Pretty impressive.
That will end at
I like the sound of the guy as well.
Yeah, I like the cut of his jib.
Yeah.
That will end at 4 o'clock on Sunday afternoon.
You say that.
When Everton play Leicester at Goodison Park. I'm going up there on the Rattler.
That does not bode well for Everton, does it? Because
bodes very well.
Your presence is not always a good omen for them.
Bodes very well.
It was a lucky charm.
And also, just to mention that Watford beat West Brom.
Watford did beat West Brom, thereby making themselves safe.
Yeah, but it's been a good night for Everton, because West Brom, of course, were on Everton's heels.
That's true.
With 40 seconds to go of tonight's game, Everton had moved into 5th position in the Premier League, but then suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
Well, technically, they hadn't moved into 5th position. As I said, they would have been 5th had they kept the score the same.
Yeah, and
so
that
you don't actually move up until you win, do you?
Yeah, that might have changed tomorrow night. Yeah, but when they do this, this league table during the course of the match.
As they stand, yes.
Yeah, it's a bit like...
yeah, but they do all that towards the end of the season,
A bit like a polometer and all that kind of stuff,
Polometer?
Yeah, the polometer, on general election night, when the pole swings one way and then the other and all that kind of stuff. The swingometer, that's it, yeah. Now... the other thing that...
but the point about the Manchester United-Everton game is that it's the only one that's really produced any kind of controversy, any kind of news, and anything really to talk about.
Well, as I said a few minutes earlier, talking to our compatriots who were in the studio
Andy and Jason,
before us. That's the two. That's the two.
The sports bar.
The sports bar, that's right, yeah.
Do you not want to mention their names?
No, I'm very happy to.
Okay.
Andy and Jason, that's who they are.
That is who they are.
Yes. If Jose Mourinho's name was anything except Jose Mourinho, he would now be facing the jungle drum beat of dissent from a crowd. Now, this is my prediction.
Okay.
Before the end of this season, Manchester United at Old Trafford will suffer the indignity of a fan coming on the pitch and doing the old throwing the season ticket at Jose, their manager.
You think that's going to happen?
I think that's going to happen.
No, I don't see that.
Because I don't
see that.
I think that's how disillusioned the Manchester United fans have become.
Where did that happen the last time we saw that?
Middlesbrough.
It was Middlesbrough, wasn't it? I don't think that's the kind of thing that will happen at Manchester United.
I think it will.
Because most Manchester United fans that I've heard talking on Talk Sport anyway, and ones that I know personally, are very happy with Jose Mourinho.
Well, I don't know why, because tonight they managed to draw their 9th game at home. That is half of all their home games this season have fizzled out into a meaningless draw.
But they are in 5th position in the league, so they are technically just outside the...
Yeah, but they're not going to get to the Champions League.
They probably are not going to this way, but they may still win the Europa League. That's still possible.
I think that's unlikely.
Well, why do you think... Who do you think's better in the Europa League than Manchester United?
No, I just think to get to the end of a competition and win a trophy, the odds are so against it.
Well, they've already done that. I mean, he's already won a trophy in his first season, right?
Says he's won 2, doesn't he?
Well, he's won the League Cup.
And he says he's won the Charity Shield
as
well.
Yeah, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he could say that, but certainly what is true is that he's the first Manchester United manager to have won a trophy in his first season.
Oh, nobody's arguing with that. But
so, I mean, it's a very much a glass half full, half empty scenario, isn't it?
No, I think it's much more half empty. And I tell you why.
Well, that's because you're an Everton fan.
No, I'm disappointed that we had victory snatched away from us in the last 40 seconds of tonight's game.
Exactly.
For 40 seconds of the 4 minutes added on. But unless you can actually live with the searing searingly hot disappointment of those late reversals, then you should live in a dark room and cut yourself off from life.
I've been very impressed with your behaviour this evening because I did expect, one, if you had beaten Manchester United, you would come in a rather boastful manner.
Yes.
And, of course, if, for example, having had that dash from your lips at the last minute, as it was, I thought you would come in a foul mood. But, in fact, I think you've become more philosophical, and I'd like to think it's my influence on you.
Well, also, I liked Everton's performance tonight, and I have to say, Everton to me looked much.
Lukaku wasn't up to much, though, was
he? Maybe he's having just an end-of-season blip or something like that. The point is, we reverted to a back four tonight, and therefore Everton looked solid again and in control of the game. Now, I think Everton look as though they're much closer to being what Mr. Kuhn wants them to be than Manchester United are being to what Jose Mourinho wants them to be.
Nevertheless,
I think they're a million miles away.
Nevertheless, the last two games, you'd have to say, against two particularly good teams, two top six teams. Anyway, Manchester United and Liverpool. Lukaku has gone missing, and that's the argument I've made about him in the past, that he doesn't play in the big games.
I don't think he went particularly missing tonight. I think on a couple of occasions he was denied a ball that should have been put into his path to give him a straight attack on goal. But apart from that, I thought Everton look great, and I think the things about Everton which I really like, and young players coming through. But the main argument I've got against Manchester United and their relationship between the manager and his players and the fans and the club is that Jose Mourinho is not the man who came here in 2004.
He's definitely a different man.
He's a totally different man and announced to the world that he was the special one.
That's right.
What he is now is he's the curmudgeonly one. He does not have a twinkle in his eye.
He is very curmudgeonly. Something has happened to him, and it happened to him at Chelsea. And you know that I have theories about that, which I will espouse one day.
Yes.
However, whatever did happen at Chelsea toppled his gyro to some extent. Because I'll tell you what, rather than just talking around in riddles about him, have a listen to what he said after the game.
Unbelievable.
About Luke Shaw, right?
Unbelievable.
And have a listen and tell us, and we want you to listen to this out there as well. And I want to hear from you as well afterwards, because what does this tell you about the state of Jose Mourinho's mind?
He had a good performance, but was his body with my brain, because he was in front of me and I was making every decision for him. And the communication was possible because we were very close, but I was thinking for him when to close inside, when to open, when to go in depth, when to press the opponent. I was making every decision for him. At this level, we need the fantastic body he has to play football, the fantastic physical qualities he has, the very good technical ability he has, but he cannot play with my understanding of the game. He must understand the game, he must think, he must accelerate the process. 21 years old is old enough to have a better understanding of the game.
Now, this is Jose Mourinho talking about Luke Shaw, who he says had a reasonably good game, but only because he was telling him every single thing that he was doing before he did it, and then making him do it, and then coming and to tell him the next thing to do.
Yeah, move
and basically saying that I was his brain.
That's right, move in, move
is that
out.
Not the ultimate wording of a narcissist, of a massive narcissist?
Go short, go long. I haven't seen Jose Mourinho smile since he got to Manchester United, right?
A couple of times.
And he no longer has that twinkle in his eye. He doesn't have that popular appeal of a communicator, which he once had, a worldwide communicator to all elements within the football, all used to listen to him avidly and sit on every word.
I don't think
we don't do that now. We don't care what he says now.
I don't think it suits him.
Because it's moaning.
Yeah, but I don't think it suits him either to be in fifth place. It doesn't suit him to be outside the top four. It doesn't really suit him to be in the Europa League. No. He's doing it because he has to.
Yes.
He doesn't enjoy being in what he would regard as less than important competition.
That's right.
And he doesn't like not winning things.
You can tell, can't you, from that Manchester United team tonight, they are again, next season, not going to be Premier League title contenders. No way in the world can they be.
Well, I mean, they had a good opportunity in the last two games, right? They had West Bromwich Albion at home, I think. It was at home, wasn't it? They only managed to get a point. They couldn't beat West Brom, and they only managed to get a point against Everton at home, which they should have, according to the bookies and all the odds that we saw before the game. They should have won both games.
But Everton should
have
won
if they got 6 points instead of one, that would make all the difference, and they would be in the top four. But they didn't. That is the problem.
You said, if half of the games they've drawn, they'd won, so that would be like 4 or 5 games, give them benefit of the doubt and say 5.
Yeah.
They'd have had 2 points more in each one. That's plus 10 points. But the point is, they didn't. They weren't able to get over the line in all those home games. That's a massive, massive failure. And the other
it's
issue,
a massive failure for him.
The other issue you've got is that when Manchester United fail to make the Champions League again next season, they will not be able to attract the sort of players that they require to return to
I'm
their
not having that
days.
because it's too early to say whether they will or will not make the Champions League.
Will not.
Because they could win the Europa League, and I think your prediction that they won't win it is incorrect because you haven't given me the name of any team that can beat them. Rocco in Bolton has texted in. He says, "In Jose we trust," and the two mics rock. Here's one from someone who doesn't give a name to say that tell Parry Everton scored a penalty in the 89th minute at Goodison Park in the corresponding fixture.
Yes, I'm well aware of that.
Paul says Lukaku was awful today. He had 2 chances to feed the ball into Morales and Barkley and decided to take it on his own. He is a ball hog.
No, he's not. He's just a very confident young man who normally gets it right. So I haven't got a problem at all. Well, I've got a problem. I wish we'd had 3 points and came away in a blaze of glory.
I think eventually you will turn and you will decide that you're actually not very happy about it. Because here's one from Lord Matthew who says, Mike Parry has a shorter temper than my 2-day-old daughter.
No.
P.S. Porky is a plank.
No, I haven't got a temper. I'll tell you what really shocked me today. I saw a hearse, but it was made by Jaguar.
Jaguar do make hearses.
I didn't know that.
Did you not?
No.
Maybe you should get one.
That shocked me.
You could get one. It's 2 for 1. This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics. Simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
I'm going slightly mad. I'm going slightly mad. It finally happened. Finally happened.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. We want to hear from you, of course. 08717 223344. Has Jose Mourinho lost the plot? We keep hearing that the team are lacking in confidence. If the team are lacking in confidence, then what is he doing? Telling everyone that Luke Shaw doesing know how to play football on his own and needs Jose Mourinho's brain in order to do what he's supposed to do.
But isn't that also a over-endorsement of an illustration of who's the boss at Manchester United? I'm now even having to play the games for my players.
Yeah, but I mean, why
do you get how good I am and how useless they are?
But if that was the case, surely you would then say the logical conclusion of that kind of argument is that, well, you're not doing very well, Jose, because you're not where you want to be. So if you're the guy that's playing for him, maybe you should let them play for themselves. Maybe that would be easier.
I would be wholly insulted and embarrassed as a footballer if suddenly. Well, I mean,
it's like somebody who sits in the control room in there and whispers in your ear and asks you to talk for them and says, say this now, say that now.
Yeah.
Most people who self-respecting broadcasters would say, get lost, do it yourself.
Imagine taking information and notes from somebody who's on the outside, like off the pitch, so to speak, telling you how to perform the task that you do and you're paid to do in your own role.
Exactly.
Outrageous.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. Now, how about this from Paul, who's a QPR fan? Yes. You were talking about Jose Mourinho. I believe Jose has lost touch with reality. He did used to be the special one. Now all he does is complain and blame his players when they are only following his instructions. And then he says, Jose, you flaming idiot.
Somebody told me, by the way, sorry, I meant to say this to you over the weekend, was it? Or was it last time I was in a football ground? That he has no intention whatsoever of settling into a house anywhere in the north of England. He will not. He is staying in the suite he's got at the hotel, named after the...
Is it the Lowry?
The Lowry, that's right, the Lowry Hotel.
Even though he doesn't like it.
Even though he's complained that he doesn't like it.
See, that can't be the right attitude, can
he? Has no... He's made it absolutely clear that... Don't even mention it to me. They wanted to show him houses in Cheshire, come and see these great mansions, family could, don't have to move here, they can come and stay at the weekend or come and stay during the week. Not interested.
Right.
I'm told. If I'm wrong, Jose, I'm sorry. Yeah. But I'm told he hasn't got the slightest intention of uprooting from the south of England to the north of England.
He loves London. He's made no secret of that. And I think if you were a manager of a team like Manchester United and you had a player who did not want to move from London, you would kick up all sorts of hell to say, I'm sorry, son, you're going to live here because you need the camaraderie, you need the closeness, you need the proximity.
Well, you need to be able literally to nip round to a player's house if you think you've got a crisis on your hands and you want to sit down and have a cup of tea with him.
And also, we've all been in situations long term where you've stayed either in a house or a hotel. I mean, you've been to World Cups and all that kind of thing. You do not live there. You know that you are transient. You know that you're passing through.
I totally
There's nothing worse than being in a hotel.
I totally agree. 6 weeks in South Africa, just outside of Johannesburg.
Joburg?
Or was it Cape Town? Cape Town.
Or was it Cape Town?
No, it was Johannesburg. That's right.
Maybe it was both.
It was both. Yeah, but
where did you have the sort of the
main base?
The main base, which
the
was
lodge.
The lodge.
The lodge.
Yes.
The lodge
doesn't bear thinking about.
Was just outside Johannesburg, and of course, the great thing is that you have terrific camaraderie with your pals there that you're working with, and all
with
that.
Everyone.
Oh, not with everyone. No, there's always a bad apple in the barrel. But I don't wish to go into that.
No, we probably shouldn't name any names.
But but you do get cabin fever. You definitely get cabin fever. You get cabin fever staying in hotels. Yeah,
but there are no balconies that you can walk out on.
Well, there's a very controversial balcony in South Africa, which we're not going to talk about.
I don't want to talk about that.
No, what I was going to say is that you, for instance, you can't... You know the idea of waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, going to the fridge and making yourself a jam butty?
Yes.
You can't do that in a hotel.
No.
You see what I mean?
No, you can't.
You've got to pick up the phone and you've got to get some lackey to do it for you.
Unless you get one of those sweet hotels where you've got your own little kitchen, which is nice.
You can do that. You can do that. But
I know what you mean.
But then somebody's got to stock it every day and all that kind of stuff.
It's the same with staying in somebody's house.
Of course it is. That's why I don't stay in people's houses.
It's very tricky.
No,
well, that's not the only reason you don't stay in people's houses. The other reason is nobody invites you.
That's absolutely untrue.
It is completely true.
I have got my own suite in one of my sister's houses.
Your own suite?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, she gave me my own suite when I stayed there.
She did, actually. It was very kind of her.
Anyway, look, we've got Steve who wants to talk to us.
Oh, that's great.
Fan.
Good.
Shall we see what he thinks about Jose's state of mind?
Indeed.
Steve, a very good morning to you. Welcome.
Good morning, guys. Yeah,
what do you think?
Passionate United fan. I've been for 45 years.
Okay.
Good man.
I'm not happy with Jose at all.
Right.
I don't think he's the right fit for my club.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust young players, which is a major problem at Manchester United.
Uh-huh.
And Luke Shaw, under Van Gaal, beginning of last season, was arguably our best player.
Yeah.
Surging into the box, crossing the ball, creating havoc. But he broke his leg. He's patiently, doggedly got back to health. And all I hear from Jose is criticism. And now he's saying he plays every pass, makes every decision.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, even if he was, it seems to me, Steve, I've always been a great supporter of Jose's, and I always thought that when he was at Chelsea, he was a fantastic figure of fun, he was a great character and all of that.
Yes.
But I've changed my mind about him over time, not least because of his second spell at Chelsea. And I mean, nobody should be talking about somebody that works for them in the way that he's talking about Luke Shaw, should they?
No, I mean, I want more than anything for United to do well, but I'm losing faith in him. I think he's losing the plot, and the fact that he's ruining the confidence of our young players, unless he's spent a lot of money on players of his own, they have an average game. They're out of the team for 2 weeks.
Did you go to the game tonight, Steve?
I watched it on TV.
Yeah, OK, that's good. Do you honestly believe that team is close to being challengers for the Premier League title next season? Because I don't.
I look at the old team. We've short of a lot of quality across the pitch.
Yeah.
We've probably got three good players in the side, and the rest. No, I'm struggling to agree. I agree with you.
Well, you've got good players who can't seem to play. The obvious one being Pogba.
Well, yeah, I think if you look at the Beckham, Scholes, Giggs team, you might put Ibrahimovic in and the goalkeeper De Gea.
Yeah.
I'm struggling for anyone else to get in there. So a lot of surgery. Yeah. It's not impossible, but.
I'd be astonished. You know what? I think Jose could be in crisis mode, just as he was in Chelsea in his second season, halfway through next season, Steve, because I don't think it's going to get any better. And part of it is because you, as a United fan, have never enjoyed Jose Mourinho in his halcyon days, with his twinkle in his eye.
Absolutely. I did dislike Chelsea, never enjoyed watching them. I thought they were functional, won trophies, but... Spirit of Manchester United, I'm sorry, I'm a bit of an old school theory.
But also, on both counts, you'd have to say, Steve, I mean, the spirit of Manchester United involves winning things, which they're not doing. Yeah. And it also, I mean, the Jose Mourinho of old spirit, regardless of whether you didn't like him or you didn't like the way he was playing, he was always winning stuff. Not now. So the combination of not having, the spirit of Manchester United winning things and the miserable nature of Jose Mourinho, without wishing to put too fine a point on it, it could change the character of Manchester United in the course of the time that he's there.
That's it, changing the character, but we've got to stick with him. We can't keep changing managers and see how it turns out.
I don't agree, Steve. Do you know why I don't agree? Because I think Mr. Abramovich is the most brilliant football club manager in the history of football, because whenever it went wrong with any manager he had, he just got rid and got another one until he started winning things again.
Yeah.
He didn't. He did.
What do you think?
Chelsea never go more than 2 seasons without.
Well, that's true, but that's more of a sort of a relic of Chelsea's owner than it is about the manager.
Yeah, but it's good ownership.
Well, it possibly is. What do you think, finally, Steve, about Rooney? Do you think you should sell him?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got to go for next season.
Got to go now.
He's a boy who likes playing football. He's not going to sit around on a bench for 2/3 of the games next season. He should go abroad. He's a brilliant footballer, and he's got another couple of seasons left in him somewhere else.
All right. Steve, thanks very much indeed for that. You can keep calling us as well, of course, 08717 223344. Dr. Lol says this. Totally agree. Josie looks miserable, and why he has it in for sure, God knows. Fergie never did that. He's listening in Michigan, by the way.
Yeah.
And then Ryan says, I'm a Liverpool fan. I was just beginning to believe United were going to avoid the Champions League again. Now we've got the Porky jinx.
No, you haven't got the Porky jinx. You've got the Porky analysis. And the main issue here is Jose, the man himself, and his inability to impress upon the team what he wants them to do.
Yeah.
Because his powers of communication have completely changed since the early days. When he said, I'm the special one, that was a man who was so brimming with confidence, nothing could have gone wrong in his life.
Yeah.
He was God as far as he was concerned.
Although, isn't it possible as well that
and
the
now
media...
he is Beelzebub.
Yeah, who?
Beelzebub.
Yeah, Beelzebub.
Beelzebub.
What, you mean the devil?
The devil.
The devil?
The devil.
That's a bit harsh.
He's nearer the devil than the God.
He's not Satan.
No, he's not Satan, no. But what I'm saying is, you see, you always got to get things so technically
well, you said
screwed up.
Beelzebub. That's
well,
the same
people
as Satan.
understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is he's casting dark shadows and dark clouds over the club, rather than sunshine and light and sunniness.
OK, let's talk to Thomas, who's a Celtic fan in Bristol. Thomas, what do you think?
All right, lads. First time on the radio, I'm a bit nervous.
Oh, well, don't be nervous. Don't worry.
Don't worry. Listen, I just think it's a lot of nonsense. I think he's doing a cracking job. I mean, like, his first season, he's had 19 games unbeaten. So, I mean, where do we go for there?
Yeah, but they're very average, Thomas. Thomas, they're very average results, mate. Half of all the home games have been drawn. That's not good enough.
Yeah, that's right.
Also, if you're talking about Thomas, if you're talking about one of those games being at home to West Bromwich Albion. Now I know West Brom have been all right this season, but Manchester United we're talking about here should not be drawing 0-0 at Old Trafford with West Brom.
Yeah, but West Brom are a Premier League team, but ain't they any good, are they?
Well, no, they are good, but Manchester United are supposed to be. Well, Manchester United are supposed to be a top 4 Champions League, top of the league type team. They should be.
Which they are.
Well, no, they're not. They're not in the Champions League.
They're not given right to be in the top 4 all the time.
Thomas, but listen, Thomas, they are not in the top 4 currently. They're not likely to get into it. They're not. They are not in the Champions League. So for them, this is an unusual season.
Right, unusual. There you go. There's your answer. It's unusual. Usually they're there. Right.
Yeah, right, but they're not, and they're not going to be next year unless they win the Europa League.
Which they might do.
Which I just said they might.
Well,
I said they might do it, but the point is, Thomas, I think you're missing Mike's point here, which is that Jose Mourinho is not doing the things that Manchester United fans, and the last one that we had on, are expecting him to do.
Yeah, what are they expecting? Man U fans just expect. But we're the only team in England that's got a cup right now.
Yeah, but listen, mate.
It's not the end of the season.
They have been bred on success. But Thomas, shouldn't you be worrying? Shouldn't you be worrying much more about your own team? And how do you respond to your manager,
Brett? Do you know what my team is?
Hey,
because it says you're a Celtic fan on the screen.
Celtic up the road, Man U down here.
Oh, you support Man U down here?
Yeah, I always have. Yeah.
Oh,
when you say down here, what do you mean?
Well, down south.
Well, where do you live?
Well, I live in Bristol.
Bristol?
Hang on, so you
live in Bristol?
A Glaswegian living in Bristol, supporting Manchester United. Do you get up to Old Trafford much?
No, not really, but I've got Sky.
You've got Sky, yeah, well, that's good, that's good.
I listen to the games on Talk Sport.
Quite right, too.
You tell me the results.
Yeah, OK, mate, well, that's very good indeed. Thomas, you're a fine man, and thank you very much indeed for calling us. And
have you ever met Brendan Rodgers in a tunnel?
No, I wouldn't want him, man. He frightens life out of me.
Yeah, indeed.
Very good answer.
Yeah.
Thomas, a Celtic fan who supports Man United in Bristol.
Well done, Tommy.
That pretty much sums up our show. This is Talk Sport.
Certainly does.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
The pressure's on now.
Relieve the itch. Talk Sport.
Where is my mind? Where is my mind? Where is my mind?
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Coming up, Mark Donaldson in a little while. Ask Porky a little bit later on as well. So if you haven't ever had one of your problems solved or one of your questions answered live on air, now's the time to do it. You can send it into at the two mics on Twitter or do it on Facebook as well.
Yeah. I had an amazing experience today.
Did you?
And it might change my domestic life.
Really?
And the way I do
you suddenly
things.
bring your chair back?
No.
Is that still missing?
No sign of the chair.
No sign of the man either?
No word, no indication.
So it's been nicked?
No message, no phone call.
The guy's nicked it?
I don't know what's happened to it. It's a mystery. But anyway...
Have you reported it stolen yet?
No.
What are you going to?
Well, I've got to see the lie of the land. I don't go around reporting things stolen if they're actually being worked on in some
but you don't know where it is.
Workshop somewhere. I don't know where it is. That's absolutely true. Now, so
tell us about your other experience.
This is quite amazing. It really is. It's eye-opening. It's revelatory. Really? So I get up this morning, right, and I go to my white ceramic pot with tea written on the front,
right.
okay?
And it's a teapot?
It's a jar in which I store my tea caddy. But it's ceramic and it's beautiful.
Like
it's very expensive.
Like ceramic ducks you've got.
I haven't got any ceramic. Oh yeah, I have got a couple.
I thought you had ceramic ducks.
Yeah, but no, this is a piece of kitchen furniture, so to speak, and it's got tea, coffee, and
sugar.
No, spaghetti.
Tea, coffee and spaghetti?
Yeah, a tall one for the spaghetti, a tall white one for spaghetti.
Right,
yeah.
well, they all made this by the same...
Yeah, all made by the same guy, yeah.
Same typeface and everything.
That's right, and they've got a sugar one as well, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right, yeah. So...
Haven't got one for macaroni?
No, I haven't, no. So I take the white ceramic lid off, and I delve my hand in... One tea bag.
Ah, yes.
Right, you see, and so I panic not, because I know that in the drawer below, in the cupboard below, there will be a new box of 80.
How do you know for sure
Yorkshire
there's gonna be a
tea?
new box?
Well, you see, this is the point. This is the point. This is the assumptions you make in your domestic life, when you're busy.
Right.
Anyway, I open the drawer. I made the cup of tea.
Well, you need 1 cup, don't you?
Yeah. Well, no, hang on. So I made my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Remember, I went straight from here yesterday to my financial advisor.
That's right.
Because it's financial end-of-year cut-off day.
Yes.
And we started work at 5 a.m.
Right. So when did you get out of there?
About 7:30.
Oh, God.
Yeah, so...
bit of a long session, isn't
it? It was, yeah. So I get home at sort of 8, and, I wanted a cup of tea, obviously. And so I had the cup of tea before I realised there were no spare tea bags underneath.
So no more. So you couldn't have a second cup?
This is the point. I did.
You did have a second cup?
Yes.
What, with the same tea bag?
Yes. And it was just as good.
Was it?
It was. I'm never ever going to use a tea bag just once again. Ever.
No way.
No, I swear to you.
Ridiculous.
No, I swear to you.
No.
I'm
not having that.
I've got a little plate about the size of a small saucer in which I put the used tea bag. You see what I mean?
I didn't know that.
In front of the kettle.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
is it a saucer or a plate?
It's a teapot shaped plate.
What?
Because it's designed. It was a gift from my mother.
So it's for your tea bag.
Yeah, to put the used tea bag on.
I tend to use like a small, like a little dish.
Yeah, okay.
Like the sort of thing you'd put chutney in.
I understand that. Yeah, no, I use a little tea bag plate.
One. Okay,
yes,
right.
And anyway, when I came to the second one, I thought this is a disaster.
Why didn't you just call the luxury taxi firm?
Yeah.
Right. Get the guy to come round. Tell him, look, go and buy me a box of 80 tea bags.
Yeah.
Here's 15 quid for your trouble.
No.
Here's another 10 quid for the tea bags, and here's something for the money.
Very excessive for 2 reasons. Firstly, it's a tea bag, not a bottle of wine when I'm in need.
Right.
And secondly, it was rush hour, so I thought, well, and all the kids are going to school and all
no,
this
the
kind
kids
of
are on holiday.
Oh, are they? Oh, that may be
Easter
why
holidays.
there's not so much traffic around. Yeah, you could be right.
Yeah, well, I am right.
So nevertheless, it's rush hour.
Right.
So anyway, I thought, well, I've only got one choice here.
Yeah.
So
You could have gone across the way to borrow one from the nice woman.
No, I wouldn't get into that sort of thing. So I boiled the kettle up again. I put the tea bag into
the
cup.
Right.
Yeah.
And is the cup empty?
Cup's empty.
So you're not one of these people that puts milk in and the tea bag?
No. And then put the boiling water in. I always put the water in as it's bubbling, not when it's bubbled. You see what I mean?
Okay.
And bubbling, fizzing.
While the kettle's light.
Yeah, I got a huge spoon out and started stirring it round vigorously.
Right, like a tablespoon.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And then I thought, well, I'll give it a try. And it was just as good as the first cup. I will forever now...
Was the first cup particularly weak?
No, not at all.
Really?
It was my normal sort of strength. And forever now, I will be using tea bags twice. It means that I will save enormous amounts of money on boxes of 80 tea bags.
How much does it cost to buy a box of 80 tea bags?
About...
you don't know, do you?
Yes, it's about £5.60.
Rubbish.
Isn't it?
No.
How much is it?
It's not as much as that.
I think it is.
I bet you can
Maybe
get
it's
them
160 tea bags
I'll look it up for you. I bet you can get tea bags for less than £3.
Okay, maybe.
You can
but the
probably
point
buy
is,
enough of them.
just purely because of waste, and I will, I don't like waste because people in the world are not as fortunate as me sometimes and have to scrimp and save for food. I will never throw away a tea bag after one use again, ever.
Yeah, but I mean...
So my tea bags will last twice as long as they used to for the rest of my life.
Surely it's a false economy, isn't it?
No. Why is it a false economy?
Because, I mean, you waste so much money on everything else. I mean, why would you bother trying to save money on tea?
Well, I think you have a social duty to do that,
Do you think so?
Yeah.
I think it's mad. I think you're absolutely crazy. And there is no way that you can buy tea bags that will serve more than one. Here, you can buy, look, Tesco, 80 tea bags for £1.
Oh, for £1? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
So you're going to save yourself 50p?
No, I'm not, because they're cheap tea bags. I like Yorkshire tea.
Yorkshire tea.
Yeah, if you can find a Yorkshire tea. Well,
Yorkshire tea bags, 750 grams.
Yes.
You get 240 tea bags for $5.79.
Well, there you go. I told you, didn't I? About £5.60, see?
Yeah, but that's 240.
Yeah, well, that's all right. Well, for me...
Well, that's more than one a day, right? For how many days is that of the year? It's about 2/3 of the year.
I suppose it is, yeah. But to me, that would be a year's supply now, because that's 480. That's 480 cups of tea.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to use every one twice.
Really?
Yeah, I am, honestly.
That's ridiculous.
No, I thought I'd let you know.
So you're saving yourself £5.79.
What?
You're saving yourself £5.79.
Well, whatever I'm saving, I mean, I just think it's a proper approach to the way that life should be led. I don't think you should be extravagant in those things. I mean, my mother taught me.
In saving £5.79 today,
yes.
Right, yesterday you explained how you'd be quite happy to spend £100 to send out for late night wine.
Well,
in one hit.
But that's in a desperate emergency. This is purely a situation in which you have to cope. Now, haven't we had a rather... What's the problem?
A quote here from a tweet here from Drake says, "Could Porky retell his teabag story in about an hour when I need to go to sleep?"
Yeah, that's very harsh. We have actually been subject to rather a sparkling review, haven't we? And rather a prestigious publication.
We have, in the Sunday Times. Yes, I'll get to that in a second. Let me read you some more tweets before we get behind.
Right.
A decent teabag will give 2 cups of tea, says Ian. The best one's a Yorkshire tea, a nice, strong, decent tasting 2 cuppers per bag.
Well, there you go. There you go.
Well, I suppose that there would be... I
said Yorkshire tea.
I suppose there would be some sort of synergy with Yorkshire, wouldn't there? Because the Yorkshiremen are meant to be quite parsimonious.
That's right. There's one here.
They expect to get 2 cups out of their
There's one here that says, Porky will be hanging up his tea bags to dry any time now off the old balcony. No, I won't be. Don't worry about that.
No, I don't think anyone's worried about it. But that is pretty... I mean, it's not exactly, the sort of thing I was expecting you to say. I thought you were going to say something really interesting.
Well, to me, that is interesting.
Okay.
And I would say that it's also socially responsible and aware.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, coming up a bit later on, we're going to be talking to a smoking expert.
Right.
And I said that his name, I wondered, was synonymous with fire in Italian.
Fiori.
His name is Dr. Michael Fiori. And Francesca has tweeted to say Fiocco is Italian for fire and Fiori is Italian for flower. So Fuoco is Italian for fire.
The Juventus fans are called the Black and White Fury.
Fiori,
and that's
a flower.
That translates in Italian as something like the Blanca Nero, because Nero is black in Italian.
Nero.
What? Nero. Yeah, that's right. The Blanca Nero. Fiori, that's what they're known as.
I'm not sure that you've got that right.
Yeah, I have.
Why would they be known as the black and white flower?
No, they're known as the black and white Fury because I've faced them.
Yeah, a lot of people have.
I've faced them running down the street towards me.
Their speciality used to be stabbing people in the buttocks.
Yeah, that's right. It did actually. So they couldn't use their Vespa scooters.
That's right. Well, I don't think that was the only reason.
No,
Liam says this. Every time Mike Parry says literally, he should have to donate £1 to charity.
Yeah, I'm going to stop using that word. Few people have pointed that out to me. So I'm literally going to cut it out of my vocabulary.
Good man. Excellent. Okay. Literally, that's the end of that.
Yes.
This is Talk Sport.
Hey! The sun goes down like a bad, bad dream. You end up tight. Gotta let off steam. They say they can break you again and again. If life is a radio, turn up to 10. Some crazy, 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 crazy nights.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. There is, of course, an episode of Ask Porky coming up a little bit later on. We're going to be talking about smoking addiction a little bit later on as well. Brunton says, blimey, Porky's talking about tea bagging. John says Porky will be hanging tea bags on his line next.
Yes, line, of course.
And James says, did I just hear that, Porky? Shocking, using the same tea bag for a cup of tea twice.
Yeah.
So wrong.
No, there's nothing wrong with it at all. I'm telling you, more people should get into it.
I think it's absolutely appalling.
I do.
And Steve says, why doesn't the producers next door record Porky from the day before and use it the following day?
Well, actually, they do that, don't they?
I think they do.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I think they do. They certainly do it at the weekends as well.
Exactly.
A best of the two mics. So,
and here's one man after my own heart. Theodore says, Mike Parry's saving money on tea. What about the 240 quid he spent on the wine? That's a lifetime supply of tea.
Well, that was special circumstances, so I wouldn't worry too much about that one.
Well, we're not worried too much about that one. But let's talk to Mark Donaldson from ESPN, who is waiting patiently for us. And that's a very strange sound in the background.
Yes.
Mark, a very good morning to you.
I'm just chuckling away because
Why?
I'm out tonight with Stuart Robson, Craig Burley, Stevie Nicol and Hercules Gomez. And the first thing you hear is you talking about teabagging.
Yes, that's
earlier
right.
Earlier today, I'm listening to Hawksby and Jacobs' Clips of the Month, and you were talking about lady issues as well. So,
that's right, yeah.
About what?
Do you know you've made Clips of the Month?
What was that?
Clips of the Month, there's 4 choices. One of them is yours.
Oh, what is it?
It was about King Lear's daughter's names.
Oh, yes,
which
okay.
you got a bit wrong.
Yeah, that's right, I did a bit, yeah. Sorry about that.
You don't need to repeat it necessarily.
No.
It's a family show.
Magnificent entertainment.
Yeah, well, it is. Well, we try to keep everybody happy, really,
yes,
while doing a family show at the same time, obviously.
That's right.
Now, Steve Nicol must have been happy as Larry, having watched Everton getting slaughtered at the weekend.
Yeah, but he's still confused as to what happens with Liverpool because he's frustrated and he's concerned about Bournemouth next.
Really?
Later today, because they seem to play well. Look at this season; they play well against good teams, and they have howlers.
Yeah, they do
against the teams that are expected to win. So where's the consistency?
Yeah. They do, and I hope Steve was also aware of the protest I put into Liverpool Football Club about James Bond being in the audience, Mark, because that's a dirty trick. That's to make Liverpool look more glamorous in the eyes of the world. But anyway, we'll gloss over that. What about, from your perspective, Mark? What about the position regarding Jose Mourinho? I think he will be in serious trouble halfway through next season when the team is playing no better than it is now.
Is he becoming a bit of an enigma now?
Yes, very much so.
And do you know what? It's difficult to argue with that because look at his last season at Chelsea.
Yeah.
And now, if he didn't have Zlatan, they probably wouldn't have won that today. But how many times this season have they dominated teams from 18-yard box to 18-yard box but haven't had an end product as well?
Yeah.
Now, he's decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to put my faith in Rashford when Ibrahimovic is suspended.
Yes.
Rashford might be the answer one day, but he's not the answer just now. What is it, 3 goals in 24 appearances or something like that? The question has to be asked, and I'm sure you've asked it earlier in the show. His previous managerial experience, he's had some wonderful results, but right now, there's something up. Is he all that right now? What is up with Jose Mourinho right now?
Well,
he's lost his sense of humour.
Well, he's lost his sense of humour, but he's lost his mojo to some extent, I think, because whatever he lost at Chelsea, and he definitely lost something, he hasn't got it back, I don't think.
I totally agree.
You look at the team that Chelsea had under him compared to the team that he's got under Conte, it's not too dissimilar. Okay, I mean, David Luiz, which was a bizarre signing, but it's actually worked out all right as well. But Conte's got the most out of a lot of these players. He's got the most out of Hazard. Now, you can't... Picking and choosing, debates and statistics are all about being selective. Eden Hazard under Jose Mourinho had wonderful times, but he also had poor times as well. So what has happened to Jose Mourinho that when he first went to Chelsea, he was getting the best out of his players, and when he was at Chelsea last time out and now at Manchester United, and you could argue, is he getting the best out of his players? I mean, there was a spell where Ander Herrera was playing at left fullback yesterday in that game. That's not right. The comments about Luke Shaw, and then he brings them back in. If I'm a fan, I'm thinking, what's going on here?
Well, that's the thing.
Absolutely.
And I think the problem as well is that, I've been talking to a couple of people that have worked closely with him over time, and some of the players that have worked with him like him and remember him fondly if they've won big with him, but most of the players that work with him do not. And most of the people that have worked with him say that he's not a very nice guy to work with.
I don't know. I mean, that's the bottom line. I'm on the outside looking in, as are the majority of everyone listening to this. In fact, pretty much everyone listening to this, unless Man United and Chelsea players are up listening to Talk Sport in the middle of the night, which is possible, given the fact that it's 2 mics. However, the issue you've got here, I remember when he was at Porto, and he won the Europa League against Celtic, and they had decent players, they had good players, but they didn't have world-class superstars. He made them play. So what has happened to him? Is his hunger still what it was when he was coming through the ranks? What job does Jose Mourinho need to kind of spark that hunger and get him back to the way he was? You would think Manchester United would be that job, but it doesn't seem to be happening.
Well, the thing is, Mark, you're a cultured man, and you know that artists sometimes, and I'm talking about, songwriters.
You're normally insulting,
I'm talking about songwriters, I'm talking about people who paint paintings and all that. They can have a burst of fantastic productivity for 3 or 4 years, and then, you take like Mick Jagger or the Rolling Stones, haven't written a decent record for 44 years, and all of a sudden their one burst of creativity and genius just expires.
Do you know what? In fairness to Jose Mourinho, right, that game at the weekend against West Brom, I watched it over here in the States, and they had chance upon chance upon chance. They were properly getting in front of goal. Now, whose problem's that? Is that Jose Mourinho's not being able to score, or is it Jose Mourinho's because he hasn't picked the right team? Well, if it's Jose Mourinho because he's not picked the right team, who else can he pick? Now, he has inherited a decent squad. You can argue that they're probably favourites to win the Europa League and get into the Champions League next season with that squad. Now, he's spent a lot of money. It's easy now because hindsight's wonderful. He spent all that money on Pogba. Could he have got 3 players at 30 million that would have done a better job? Probably. But Man United wanted to make a statement of intent. It's like the Galacticos of England. They wanted to do what Real Madrid do. Antoine Griezmann, another one who's been linked. Would he help Man United? Of course he would. So what is the issue this season? That's what we need to work out.
Is it also, Mark? Is it also the fact that when he's with a club like Chelsea, which is not part of the sort of what you might call football royalty, whether Chelsea fans like it or not, Real Madrid is, Manchester United is, and Inter Milan kind of is as well.
Well, it was,
And basically, he falls out with all of them, but he prefers to be in those situations when those teams are at the top. Trying to get Manchester United back on the top maybe is beyond him.
When Manchester United were looking for a new boss, we spoke, the three of us, about Jose Mourinho's. Does he fit in the kind of ethos of Manchester United, what they're looking for as well? Now, part of the Manchester United hierarchy, apparently, we don't know, but apparently, if you believe what you read and what you hear on the radio, they weren't 100% convinced. They had the doubts whether Mourinho was the right man for Manchester United.
Yeah.
So we've seen what Antonio Conte can do with pretty much as Jose Mourinho's squad, and he's basically got them playing a lot better. Again, a much lesser rank. Brendan Rodgers at Celtic. He's picked up Ronnie Dyler's squad. He's got them playing better. Has Jose Mourinho got Manchester United playing better than they were? The stats would say no, because you've got, I think it was Louis van Gaal I saw today, had a better record in the same number of games.
That's right.
As Jose Mourinho did.
Well, actually, David Moyes has got a better win rate at Old Trafford than Mourinho.
Yeah, there you go. And look at this. I think, again, I'm out and about, so I don't know the exact stats, but I believe it's like Hull and 2 other kind of teams near the foot of the table have got better goal-scoring record at home than Manchester United. There's no point in saying, we dominated that. We should have won that. That doesn't cut it from the Man United fans. You've got to be scoring those goals. So whose issue is that?
That's absolutely true. Now, moving on, Mark, of course, you're a man who's spent a lot of time in Glasgow. When was the last time you were going through the Clyde Tunnel when all of a sudden you saw somebody stop their car, get out of the car and go over and address the driver of another car to tell him...
There's a breath of fresh air.
As a Rangers fan, Jimmy, I want to say, Brendan, I don't support your team, but you're a breath of fresh air, laddie. Thank you for coming to Glasgow. Now, that is that's a remarkable story.
It's a great story. It's like one of your stories.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I haven't heard a Scottish accent that good since Mel Gibson in Braveheart.
Oh, thank you.
Phenomenal.
Thank you very much. That's absolutely right. My name is William Wallace. Yeah. You're absolutely right. But, I think Brendan is sort of rather wrapped up in his own importance as a citizen of Glasgow.
He's gone from believing his own publicity to now making it up.
That's right.
Look, I'm a horse.
I am a citizen of Glasgow.
Would you mind letting him speak?
Hey, sorry, Mark. Yeah, go on.
Laddie, you've been too nice to me today. Enough of you. Just feast a second, will you?
Yeah.
Let me blather on for just a wee minute, will you, laddie?
Yeah,
Brendan
right.
Rodgers, when he came in, was asked, how are you going to deal with the fact that you're not going to be playing at Anfield and Old Trafford and all these wonderful stadiums anymore? And he basically said, you know what? I grew up in a Northern Ireland housing estate. So I think he's humble. And you've got your people who take the mickey out of him, your impersonators and whatever. He's a Celtic supporter. The question for me would be, the only thing that would keep him at Celtic, he wants to get 10 in a row, and I think they'll do that easily.
Yeah.
But can he stay another 4 years at Celtic? What would it take to get him to stay at Celtic so they can do 10 in a row and beat Rangers' record? It would be Champions League. Yeah. He grew up a Celtic supporter, but surely there has to be an element of boredom in the domestic aspect. They are as clear, and so far clear of the rest as I can remember. And I've been following Scottish football for 30 years.
Yeah,
so
sure.
You can have a go. You can be you can have a laugh at him as well. But he's not everyone's cup of tea. But he has got players playing who are not playing 12 months ago. Exactly the same place. He's given them belief. And that's going to be a good coach, is it not?
Yeah. I think that has to be marked in his favour. But also, I think his own psyche quite enjoys the adulation. I think he's not going to walk away from that job to go and, say, manage Swansea again. No. Or maybe come down to the Premier League and manage West Bromwich Albion.
Yes.
You know, he would see himself as moving from Celtic to Manchester United or Arsenal or, you know, one of the top 4 clubs. So I think he's the kind of guy that will hang around in Glasgow as long as they love him because he loves being loved.
Okay, here's the issue. I'm not trying to do down my league in Scotland. It's a league, it's not the best, but I love it because it's what I grew up with.
Yes.
But look at the recent managers of Celtic and Rangers and where they have moved on to championship level.
Right.
Not many have moved to the Premier League. Now, he's got past in the Premier League.
Hey, listen, some of them move to championship level and don't last very long in the championship,
exactly.
you know?
Look at Neil Lennon. He went to Bolton. He was hoping to get Norwich. Alex Neil got that. He went to Bolton. He's now at Hibernian in the championship.
Well, look at poor old Stubbsy. Poor old Stubbsy. That's the even shorter.
He's out of job now.
Yeah, exactly.
Of course. So would you? Here's one for you two. If you're Arsenal, right, and Wenger leaves, okay, there's linked about 2. And he's not going to leave in the next year or 2, right? So and Brendan Rodgers is going to be at Celtic at least for the next 2 or 3 years, okay?
Yeah.
If Brendan Rodgers has the same success as he's had this season, and Wenger decides, you know what, 2 more years and I'm done.
Yeah.
Would you, if you're Arsenal, would you consider Brendan Rodgers as your next coach based on what he achieved at Liverpool, which, okay, got them pretty close, but he didn't achieve, and based on what he achieved at Celtic? How much importance do you place on what he would have achieved at Celtic?
Nothing.
I would say
nothing.
No.
Nothing at all.
I would say no on all counts.
That's the problem we have.
Yeah.
No on all counts. Now, the other problem we have is we only got about a minute left, and I want to ask you quickly about the Masters, because we may talk to you again before the Masters gets underway, but I doubt it. So,
the Masters.
Is it just a Justin Johnson show? What do you reckon?
I'm going to give you a little tip, and I know Porky likes a punt.
Yeah, I do.
Dustin Johnson is 6-1 to win it, right?
Yeah.
Forget that. Far too short. Dustin Johnson is 16-1 to be first-round leader. Each way, you can get top 7. So if he finishes 7th or better in the first round, you get paid out a fifth of the odds, top 7.
Right.
Take that bet. That's a great bet.
Right.
As far as winning it is concerned, you know what? There's a lot of English kids that are really good right now, and the fear factor's gone.
Yeah.
Take a look at Tyrrell Hatton, Tommy Fleetwood, guys like that.
Yeah.
Danny Willett won't win it again, but some of the younger kids that are coming through, there's a lot of ability there.
Right, okay.
So look out for the flying of the flag. Look out for who's going to be leading after the first round. And, of course, you must bet responsibly because you wouldn't want to do it any other way. That was Mark Donaldson. We've got loads of great tweets. We've got Porky, Ask Porky coming up as well. And, of course, we're going to be talking about giving up smoking in the next hour too. This is Talk. A lot of people got things to say about your tea anecdotes.
Yes.
Specifically, Baz says only Porky can make a long-winded anecdote out of a tea bag.
What do you mean? It's not a long-winded anecdote. It was a socially responsible issue in the domestic life of all of us.
Oh, yeah.
And I wish to pass these things on. I always do.
Fergal says, what if Porky goes to a tea shop or a coffee shop and gets 2 cups of tea?
Yeah.
Will he ask them to use the same tea bag?
No, of course not, because that would be, pernickety. And,
do you ever go to a coffee shop and ask for tea?
Funnily enough, last week I had to have a meeting with somebody to discuss a bit of a commercial issue.
Oh, yeah.
And for the first time I can remember in a very, very long time, because I didn't want to get involved in alcohol or, anything.
Is this all part of your new temperance scenario?
Well, not necessarily temperance, but, I had other things to do that day, and it involved me using my car.
I see.
So I didn't
well, you definitely can't do that.
Exactly. So I went over there, parked the car, and then I thought, well, I suppose I could go into a pub and ask for 2 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
But then I would become a hypocrite because I hate people who buy cups of coffee in pubs.
And also, if you're in a pub, you don't really want to drink coffee, do you?
No, exactly. So what I did was I found one of these high street coffee shops, and I went in and I said, hello. Can I have...
Hello?
Yeah, 2 cups of coffee.
Sure it wasn't good day to you?
No, it wasn't. And the person I was with had a mocha.
A mocha?
A mocha.
Right.
And I had a cappuccino. That's what I always had.
Cappuccino?
Yeah, cappuccino. A large one.
How terribly metropolitan of you.
Yeah, a large one.
How terribly elitist of you.
But I tell you what was very interesting.
Yeah.
So that she brought...
How many sugars you put in it?
6. No, I like a lot of sugar in coffee.
I know.
I don't have any sugar in tea.
I know that.
That's the amazing thing.
I
Yeah.
watched you put 7 sugars in a cup of coffee in Newcastle.
Yeah. Anyway, the point is she brought them to the table.
Yeah.
And I said... I said I wanted 1 cappuccino and 1 mocha because the person I was with was a lady, and I didn't want to
sort of a lady?
Look that I'd foolishly misordered.
Oh, you didn't say it was a lady?
Yes, it was a lady,
yeah. This has been a new business arrangement?
It could be, something like that. Well, I mean, she's definitely involved in this area. She's involved in the area of business that you and I are involved in. and it's an extension of it. But anyway, so the lady said, "No, sir, you asked for one cappuccino." I said, "Yes."
Was it Elsa Klebb behind
no, it wasn't. No, Rosa
pointy
Klebb.
shoes. Oh, Rosa Klebb,
yeah. She said, "And this is your cappuccino." And she said, "And you asked for one mocha, and this is your mocha."
Mocha.
And I said, "But they look exactly the same."
Yeah.
She said, "Yes, that is right." And I said, "But no,"
That's
I said,
the trick, isn't it?
Yeah,
they just give everybody the same drink.
Yeah, I said, "Look," I said, "I know what a cappuccino looks like." I was getting quite, sort of.
Are you having a row now?
Not a row, but I was getting authoritative. I said, "No, I know what a cappuccino looks like, but I also know that a mocha doesn't have all this froth on the top,
doesn't it?"
And she said, "Yes, it does."
I thought a mocha did.
Well, I didn't know that. I thought a mocha was a straight cup of coffee. Anyway, I
think that's a flat white, isn't it?
Is it? The person I was with, didn't seem to worry about it. We got it sorted, and we came to a very satisfactory arrangement later.
I see.
And some money changed hands. Yes. Yeah. So, sorry. What's your problem?
Well, let me just read that back to you.
Yeah,
we came to a very satisfactory arrangement later on, and some money changed hands.
Oh yes, but that was a business arrangement. It's nothing to do with the sort of nefarious suggestions that you're making. No, nothing to do with that.
It sounded a bit like that.
No. This was, we agreed on an investment policy, and we provided funds. It was simple.
Well, that's the main thing.
Yes,
the family show. The Scottish Bull says again. Porky shows his ignorance of European football. Juventus are known as the Vecchia Signora, or the old lady.
Oh, yes, they are, definitely. But they're fans. I know that. I know they're known as the old lady, mate, because I knew this from an early age, that the nickname for Juventus football team and the Bank of England are exactly the same. The old lady.
What?
Didn't you know that?
Yes, the old lady, Bank of England.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So
what about the grey lady? Who's that?
The grey lady. And, sorry, just to finish that, but it's their fans who are known as the Black and White Fury, not Juventus themselves.
Okay.
Right, the grey
grey
lady. The grey lady is... Let me think about this one. The grey lady... That's a boat, isn't it?
No.
Not a boat?
No.
Right, what is it then?
It's the New York Times.
Ah, you're right.
The New York Times is known as the Grey Lady.
It is, you're right.
Also known with that banner underneath the masthead, all the news that's fit to print.
That's
right. You know who was in the arts section of the New York Times yesterday? Was our good friend Steve Lillywhite.
So was he?
A huge piece on him,
really?
Which I must put out, actually.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But it's all about his new business in Jakarta.
Oh, I see.
And how wonderfully sort of different it is, because he's going from producing, Grammy Award-winning albums for U2.
Yes.
To basically selling CDs for Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, good for him.
Can you imagine anything more different?
Well, it must be very profitable, or Steve wouldn't be doing it.
It is very profitable, yeah.
That's right,
yeah. Well, apparently in places like Indonesia,
yes,
where money is not as, in rich supply as it is here,
yes,
not everybody's got a credit card. So the download business is nothing like what it is here.
Right.
So people still buy CDs.
Do they?
And so with this kind of promotion that goes on in Kentucky Fried Chicken shops,
do they buy DVDs as well?
Yeah, they do, yeah.
Can we ship a few thousand of ours over to Steve and get him to put them on sale in one of them shops?
Well, you think he might put them through Kentucky Fried Chicken?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm not sure that's the right old audience for us.
Well, why not?
Well, all right,
you're saying that people who eat Kentucky Fried Chicken, there's something wrong with them?
No, I'm not saying that.
They're too down market for you?
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that the people who eat Kentucky Fried Chicken in Jakarta might not be quite the audience that the two mics would normally see at one of their shows.
I believe in people in Jakarta are good. Jakartians are good people.
I'm sure they are.
I've just decided. Particularly if they buy
a lot of my friends
Two Mics DVD.
I have a lot of great friends in Jakarta. You sound more and more like Trump every day.
Yeah.
Now, I'm talking of the New York Times, right? How about the Sunday Times writing us up?
That's great.
Okay?
Have you got
a guy called Roland White.
Roland White. Roly, thank you ever so much.
He's a top man. He's based in Salisbury, which is, of course, a part of Wiltshire that I'm very familiar with.
It's got a big cathedral.
It's got a very big cathedral. Yeah. And not a very successful football team. He appears from his Twitter handle to be a Salisbury Football Club supporter.
So he's a loser.
Well, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah, it is a bit harsh.
No, I mean, he's a supporter of his local football team.
I can't think...
What is wrong with that?
I can't... Nothing at all. I can't think of another radio combo that's ever had a review like that in the arts section of the Sunday Times. That is a real tribute.
In the arts section of the Sunday Times, he was asked to do his week, basically, because I don't think he normally writes about radio in the Sunday Times. He quite often is the guy that you would choose to write, say, a profile piece about a politician.
Yes.
Or he writes sort of humorously about various things that have happened in the political world that week.
That's good, yeah.
And he writes a lot of different things. But this week, he was offering... he said the last time he was asked to write for the Sunday Times radio section, he was asked to write his list of the best comedies ever, right? And he says, since then, I've been wondering which shows, and not just comedy ones, have been the worst, right? So he includes us in the 5 shows that he has picked that are the worst shows of all time.
Fantastic.
This is great.
Yeah.
And so he's got Thought for the Day, Radio 4.
Oh, okay,
so we're in pretty good company.
Well, that's one of the world's most listened to radio shows.
He doesn't like that. He doesn't like Not in Front of the Children, which is Radio 4 as well, starring Wendy Craig.
Well, she's pretty popular.
She is, he doesn't like her. He doesn't like Essential Classics on Radio 3.
Well, see, that's a fantastic
which
programme.
Is one of
Even
the
I've listened to that.
Everybody hears. He doesn't like
Beethoven's First.
Something called King Street Jr. on Radio 4.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that
And
one.
making up the list is the 2 mics on Talk Sport.
Fantastic.
And which he says, Mike Graham and Mike Porky Parry discuss a range of issues that might or might not have a sports theme.
Yes.
They've just won an award for their US election coverage, and a fan on Twitter says it is the best show on radio by miles.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's very good.
Fantastic.
Up to then. And then the final sort of paragraph says, to me, though, they sound like an elderly couple bickering in the pub and wondering what they ever saw in each other.
Well,
thank you very much, Roland.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
There is some truth to that.
And Roland, thank you very much indeed for finding a few spare columns, white column inches for us. That's great.
Thank you. To be in the Sunday Times, I mean, I don't know how many Talk Sports shows have been in the Sunday Times.
Never been one. Never gone up to that sort of class of publication.
Some people who would be less, shall we say, well-balanced than us might say, that's a disgraceful thing to write a bad review about us. That is disgusting. We're going to complain. Yeah. But actually, we're very happy about it.
Anything that's worth writing about is worth, celebrating.
And it says at the bottom, Paul Donovan is away. I think I know Paul Donovan because when I used to work for the Mail on Sunday, I helped them to relaunch their Night and Day magazine, which at the time was their version of like Culture.
That's right, yeah.
And I think I knew Paul Donovan.
Really?
I was going to say employed him, but I was kind of his boss.
It's kind of his boss.
So I might have a word with Paul Donovan and say maybe you should have a go at listening to the 2 mics and see whether you agree with Roland.
Definitely, and see if he can come to maybe an alternative conclusion.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
But anyway, Roland White in the Sunday Times, very well worth a read. And thank you very much indeed.
Indeed, thank you very much.
This is Talk Sport.
The 2 mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people living as hoes. Yeah, but maybe it's not too late.
Julian says this on the Twitter. He says, 7 sugars, Porky. Would you not be better off having a shot of vanilla or for cappuccino hazelnut? Far better for you.
Maybe, I don't know. I've never tried that. That's kind of exotic coffee.
Yeah, they do that. I mean, I often get offered. I mean, I'll quite often find myself in a garage. You know, quite a lot of these garages now have a Costa machine.
They do,
and I know they may have other various branches of various makes. Costa's not the only one, and it says, would you like an extra shot of blah, whatever? I never do that. Yeah. I just get a cappuccino. I don't put an extra shot of it.
I don't buy coffee in garages anyway.
Well, yeah, but I sometimes do. Because you know why? Particularly now, and we're going to talk about the smoking in a little while. I find myself, because I used to kind of having the odd cigarette, if I felt a little bit drowsy driving,
yes.
I'd light a cigarette, open the window,
right.
That would be fine. Yeah. Now, I find myself, if I'm getting a bit drowsy, I'm pulling over and ordering and getting a cup of coffee.
Really? Why don't you just carry tins of Red Bull around with you?
I don't.
That's what I do.
Well, because I don't think you should carry tins of Red Bull. Red Bull is very bad for you.
No, it's not.
Red Bull's terrible for you.
What's bad about it?
Well, it's full of caffeine. It's got more caffeine.
So is coffee.
Yeah, but coffee hasn't got as much caffeine.
Well, I like Red Bull. I sometimes, if I'm feeling a bit groggy in the mornings, I get a Red Bull out the fridge, a cold one, and I pour it into a sparkling
I thought you told me you'd given up drinking Red Bull.
Well, I don't drink it every day.
It's not good for your heart.
I don't drink it every day, but I do occasionally.
It is not good for your heart.
I do occasionally.
Now, here's one from Andy who says, I met a guy in the boozer tonight. I told him he looked like a young Porky, and he knew what I was on about. How about that?
Let's have a look.
He's quite a nice-looking guy.
Where's this boozer?
I don't know, he doesn't say.
Well, I mean, I don't like being compared to sort of people who might be losers.
Well, hang on. I'll see if I can tell where Andy comes from.
He doesn't, or not winners.
Andy doesn't say where he comes from.
Right, okay.
So it's not possible for me to tell you.
Yeah, all I can say is beware imposters, people out there. Now, guess what I've discovered? We had a discussion the other night, right, about you going on about this ridiculous theory about the oceans rising and all these islands disappearing. It's not a ridiculous theory.
The level of the oceans is actually rising. It's not a theory.
But guess what I've discovered?
What have you discovered?
Even if it happened, do you know how we'd get over it?
How?
We're going to start drinking seawater in massive amounts soon. No, we are. We are.
Oh, you think that's going to lower the level of the sea?
Of course it will. If the world population starts drawing water out the sea, When, in drought areas.
What do you think will happen then?
Well, it'll keep even if the ice poles melt, it won't matter because we'll be drinking it all.
Well, no, you won't be drinking it all because what do you think happens when you drink water?
Eh?
What do you think happens when you drink water?
Well, yeah, but we'll be transferring it into the land, onto the land. Out
but
of
the
water,
generally...
and then arid parts of like the Sahara will suddenly flower.
Do you not think there's a sort of finite amount of water on the Earth, as it were? It doesn't really alter, does it?
Well, circulatory, maybe not, but in total quantity, yes, it can.
Well, yeah, but if you take the water from the sea...
Yes.
And are you talking about desalinating it?
Well, this is what I'm getting to. They've discovered that something called graphene, Graphene, this is from one of my science journals.
Graphene, I've heard of that.
Yeah, is being used to remove salt from seawater, and scientists say it's going to so improve the efficiency of desalination that we will within maybe a decade, be able to irrigate areas of the world which now suffer from terrible drought.
Well, we have desalination plants all over the world.
But they're very, very expensive.
They are.
This is not. This thing, graphene, they'll develop something called a graphene sieve. And you'll be able to get communities on, shores in places like Sri Lanka and India and all that, which is arid.
Right.
And all you do
is that arid in Sri Lanka. It's quite a lot of jungle there.
I didn't mean Sri Lanka. I meant sub-Sahara Africa. And you just put a pipe into the sea,
right? And
then you just suck loads and loads of seawater in through the pipe. And by the time it's pouring out the other end onto the arid desert, which will flower, it's pure water.
What, through the pipe?
Through the pipe,
really?
Yeah, there's a.
How the hell can they do that?
Because there's a graphene sieve in the middle of the pipe.
What is this graphene sieve?
It takes salt out of the water and turns it into ordinary water.
Right. That doesn't sound cheap, though.
What?
That doesn't sound cheap.
It's a lot cheaper than desalination plants. It's just a pipe. It says it forms a regular lattice with a hole size similar to the diameter of water molecules.
Yeah.
And scientists have now perfected the use of compound graphene oxide as a filter in the process, which swells in water and removes the salt.
Right.
They've managed to stop what was previously a swelling effect, which sent the salt back into the water. You keep the holes in the lattice small enough to stop salt, but big enough to allow water through. You see? This is the graphene sieve.
Right.
So
the bottom line is, that if they can take enough water out of the sea, that they can kill two birds with one stone.
Definitely.
Or effectively keep two birds alive.
Yes, that's
with
right.
one stone.
That's right.
Because the water in the sea will dissipate.
Yes.
And then the water on the land will be able to be used to irrigate.
It will flower the land.
Yeah.
So, for instance...
That sounds a bit too good to be true.
No. It's not just the third world. Guess who is, first of all, going to get into this in a big way?
Bill Gates.
Well, maybe, but it's California. The Californian government, like the California
because they've got no water. They need to.
Exactly.
They need to.
So desalination is needed increasingly.
Desalination
is increasingly in areas like the Arabian Peninsula, Australia and California, where governments have invested heavily in this new technology to purify seawater. And also in Manchester.
Manchester?
Yeah, I mean, there's no drought.
They don't need any water there.
No, there's no
They've
drought.
got plenty of water in Manchester. In fact, funnily enough, last year, when we went to do the show at the dance house, and we went into that... If you remember, we had to walk over to the betting shop.
On the day of the Grand National.
On the day of the Grand National. And it was absolutely tipping it down. I've never seen rain like it.
Yeah, that's right.
They don't need a desalination plant there.
But the problem is, because they've got lots of water, it's a load of Manchester scientists who've been very influential in this breakthrough.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
All right.
So
basically...
it all
sounds very good in theory, but I can't see... I have to say, I cannot see it reducing the level of the seawater on the Earth.
Generally. Oh, it will, because this graphene sieve is...
I mean, it's like putting a straw into the serpentine, right?
Yes.
And sucking it out with your mouth and expecting the level of the serpentine to drop.
Well, it wouldn't.
Well, of course it wouldn't.
But what I'm saying is, this mad theory of yours that, we're going to all get flooded because there's too much water.
It's not a mad theory of mine.
Yeah, well, it's not going to happen anyway. But even if it did, we'd pump it all into the Sahara. I don't
believe that.
In the next lifetime, the Sahara could be like the Garden of Eden.
Well, people think, for example, that because of the way the world is changing in its temperature and its climate, that there could be a time where up in sort of southern Scotland, there will be Mediterranean-style vineyards.
Oh, that's been going on for years.
But that's what I think will happen.
Well, the Romans.
It's a ridiculous theory.
The Romans used to have vineyards north of Hadrian's Wall.
Yeah, I know.
Because of the climate change.
Well, no, they didn't have anything north of Hadrian's Wall. That's why they built Hadrian's Wall.
No, but they did.
No,
they did.
The Romans did not go beyond Hadrian's Wall. That's why they built it.
Well, on Hadrian's Wall itself, they had vineyards because they had to grow wine to keep the soldiers.
They might have had the odd vine.
No, actually, they did. They had to.
So now it's on Hadrian's Wall.
They had to grow wine to give to the soldiers because you know that patrolling Hadrian's Wall was the worst posting in the whole of the Roman Empire army.
They weren't keen on the Picts, that's why.
They
weren't keen on the Picts.
No, they weren't keen on the Picts. You're absolutely right. And not only that, funnily enough that we're talking about Romans now, because funnily enough, in one of my historical journals today, I found out a lot more about Caligula than I didn't know before.
What, Caligula the Emperor?
Caligula the Emperor.
Yeah. Have you seen the film?
Have
you seen the film?
I haven't seen the film.
With Helen Mirren.
Is it good?
Well, it was famous for being a porn film that was also starring major league stars like Helen Mirren.
Yeah.
And what's his face? Roddy McDowell. And
oh,
a few
yeah,
other
that's
people
right.
Like that,
yeah.
Because it was made by Bob Guccione.
Yes, that's
the
right.
Penthouse guy, right?
That's right.
But what he didn't tell them was when he was filming all the sort of supposedly, straight bits.
Yes.
He was also filming a load of hard porn.
Interjecting it all
around the place.
Yeah.
So some of the people like Helen Mirren weren't too happy about it.
No, they weren't. But it was all justified because Caligula. The one thing Caligula used to love was a 3-day orgy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, he loved a 3-day orgy.
Who doesn't?
And what he did was exactly. What he did was he built these huge boats, like the modern equivalent
he also had the horse,
of ocean liners. Well, he made his horse a senator and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But he built these huge boats so that nobody could bother him while he was having his orgy, because these boats used to float in the middle of all these lakes in Italy.
Oh, so he had the orgies on the boats?
He had the orgies on the boats. Yeah. Because if you got invited to one of Caligula's orgies, you'd made it in life, you know what I mean?
I knew a guy like that in Scotland.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, did he have a load of orgies?
Well, yeah, but on a boat, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
excellent.
can't tell you where.
Did you get invited to it?
I did, yeah, but I didn't go.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't go.
Oh, no.
I did not go.
No,
I did not go.
You didn't go.
I thought I might be compromising myself.
Didn't your marriage break up in Scotland?
No.
It didn't?
No.
How come?
Because I wasn't married when I was in Scotland.
Oh, I see.
I was already divorced, thanks.
Oh, I see. So, I see. So you're a single man and you turned down the opportunity to go to an orgy?
No, I wasn't single, no. I've very rarely ever been single in my life.
Yeah, I see. Okay,
no,
but
I thought
anyway.
that in my capacity as a senior sort of executive of a newspaper, it would not do to go to something like that.
Oh, you've got principles, have you?
Of course.
That's the first time in your life.
Well, some of us have got to have
But
them.
anyway, listen, what he used to do was he used to float these huge barges, like the size of modern-day ocean liners, on lakes.
Well, maybe not quite that big.
Not quite that big. But, you know what I mean, by comparison in those days, so to speak, you see what I mean?
Yes.
And then he would have these fantastic 3-day orgies. And what's happened is, the reason why this has all come to light is that some guy in Italy has discovered one at the bottom of a lake, and they're going to raise it.
What, they've just found one of these barges?
Yeah, they found one of the barges on which the orgies took place.
Well, it will be like Pompeii. Do you know, have you ever been to Pompeii?
Yes.
Have you?
No.
Yes or no?
No, I've been to Italy.
Right, you've been to Italy.
Yeah.
Right, so you haven't been to Pompeii.
Well, Pompeii's in Italy.
It is in Italy, but it's been the Bay of Naples.
Yeah,
have you ever been to Naples?
Naples I've been to, yes.
Have you?
Yes,
right.
definitely.
Well, just around the corner from Naples, you can go there by car, or you can take a boat.
Yes.
You go to Pompeii, and they've still got an awful lot of the ruins of the town.
Indeed.
That got covered in ash, right?
Yes.
Including the brothel. They've got the brothel, which is still actually...
disgusting.
What's disgusting about it? It's part of history.
Yeah.
And they were very, very, very keen on brothels and drinking wine and all that kind of stuff.
Funny enough, the Caligula thing, right, he was a great guy in a way, but I mean, during the orgies, he used to have, prisoners brought in and tortured, for a bit of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody was high on sort of drink and all that.
You've got to take a bit of a rest every now and again.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. For a bit of spectator stuff, he was a dedicated spectator of torture and executions, and a lot of this happened during orgies because he was a big orgy enthusiast. Okay.
Yeah.
One of the things he actually got criticised for was that when he was having these orgies, sometimes he would have prisoners brought in and thrown into a pit in the middle with wild hungry animals in the middle to have them torn so they tear to pieces.
Like lions and tigers.
The
and
only
bears.
problem was he used to get so off his head, and he was only 24 at the time, by the way. At the height of his power, yeah. He was murdered when he was 28. But in 37 AD. He would have these orgies and say, bring the prisoners in. And then if they ran out of prisoners, because he quite liked seeing this spectacle, he then just told his guards to just
Going round a few people up.
Yes, just move the barge to the edge of the lake and just send a couple of soldiers ashore and just grab the nearest half dozen people, bring them back on and throw them. Yeah. So, it's rather undemocratic.
Yeah, no, this is why the Roman Empire fell in the end, because they became far too decadent and far too big for their own boots. But anyway, we'll get back to that very, very shortly, because next, coming up, we're going to be talking smoking, and we're going to be talking to the director of the Centre for Tobacco Research, Dr. Michael Fiore. This is TalkSport.
Excellent.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
A terrific performance.
Turn of pace and eye for goal.
Shout about it.
Much about your science journals. Neil says it's from one of my science journals, says Porky, even though it's been on the news channels all day.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't answer for that. The point is that it's something that I recognised as a very, very important scientific move forward, and therefore felt I must share it with our millions of listeners.
Indeed, you
Simple
should.
As that.
And here's one finally about Caligula. Dave says, Porky says Caligula was a good guy. He used to torture slaves. What a plank.
No, I didn't say he was a good guy. I said he was very innovative. He built two of the biggest aqueducts in the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
Both of them were in Italy, actually.
Well, they would have been, I suppose.
Across
Taxi Man has posted a couple of pictures of the brothel from Pompeii. There you go.
Oh, yeah, let's have a look.
There you go.
Well, that's not much of a brothel.
Well, yeah, but they've got paintings on the walls.
Oh, I see, yeah.
Well, I mean, it was all covered in ash.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah. Okay, yeah, I suppose it was,
Vesuvius, rather, I should say. Now, we've been keeping Dr. Michael Fiore waiting. He's the director of the Centre for Tobacco Research. He's going to tell us all about the benefits of stopping smoking, but also about some of the pitfalls as well, because I, of course, gave up smoking approximately 3 weeks ago.
You did.
And you thought it would be a good idea to get some expert on
to
tell us what I'm likely to be experiencing.
Yes.
Dr. Fiore, welcome to the show. Very good morning to you.
Well, I'm really honoured to be here, and Mike, congratulations for quitting smoking.
Thank you very much indeed.
That's it.
Now, my partner here on the radio, Mr. Parry, said to me about a week and a half or so ago, he thought I was being very irritable and quite aggressive and really not being myself.
Yes.
Now, since he said that, I've tried to take that into account and tried to be slightly less aggressive. But is that the sort of normal thing that you would expect in the first couple of weeks of cold turkey as it was?
Without a question. There's a whole syndrome of tobacco withdrawal symptoms. And it makes sense if you think about the fact that you've probably been for 10, 20, 30 or more years.
Yeah, try 40.
Yeah, 40 years. You've been puffing on smoke. You've probably taken more than 1 million drags of cigarette smoke in your lifetime. And every single time you've taken a drag, within 10 seconds, a bolus of nicotine went to your brain, bathed your neuroreceptors in nicotine, caused the release of endorphins and catecholamines and other neurotransmitters that gave you a combination of relaxation and stimulation at the same time. So when you quit smoking, your body and particularly your brain has to adjust to that. And the adjustment includes irritability, difficulty concentrating, disturbed sleep, constipation, increased appetite. So if you've quit cold turkey, you've, I'm sure, experienced those. Those symptoms typically peak within the first week, and within a month or so, they begin to dissipate. So I just want to say to you, for having stuck with it, congratulations. And the one thing we know for people who are thinking about quitting, it's critically important to take a perspective of not even a single puff, because as soon as you do take a puff, you prime the pump again and get those neurotransmitters, and you kind of force yourself to go through the pain all over again. So you've got 3 weeks in, stay with it, not a single puff.
Yeah, now, Doc, the problem is, with 40 years of smoking behind him, he has irreparably damaged his body, no doubt, right? I don't think the damage will ever be repaired, because smokers' lungs don't repair, do they? And...
let me...
Well, hang on. Go on.
I'm going to actually differ with you on that. And I want to say to all of your listeners that you can be confident of however many years you've smoked. The benefits are literally going to begin the day you quit, and they will continue for the rest of your life. Let me tell you what some of those benefits are. So within a day, your level of carbon monoxide, the toxic fume that people put in their garage if they want to do themselves in, your level will go from toxic levels to essentially no carbon monoxide going through your bloodstream. And that carbon monoxide is one of the leading causes of heart attacks and strokes.
Yeah.
Your risk of a heart attack will go down 50% within 1 year. Your risk of lung cancer will approach zero within 15 years. You're right that some of the tissue damage to the lungs, we call it parenchymal damage to the lungs, is irreversible. But most of the damage of smoking begins literally to improve literally the day you quit and will continue for the rest of your life. And we know, for example, that if you quit at age 60, your risk of dying in the next 20 years is cut in half compared to if you continue to smoke. So to all of your listeners, no matter how old you are, no matter how many times you've done it, there's never it's never too late to quit.
Okay, you
see, because I also, of course, have to put up with this kind of maniac next to me who's constantly questioning my belief system, constantly suggesting that I might be cheating and smoking in the meantime, which of course I'm not doing. As I said, there's no point in cheating yourself in this area, and also telling me that I've already damaged myself to such an extent that it's not really any point in doing it.
It wasn't worth giving up. I mean, that is the point.
This is what I have to put up with.
When you smoke for 40 years, Doc, you say to yourself, is it worth? Because I'm told reliably that deposits of nicotine get right to the extremes of your body, to your big toe and to the back of your earlobe and all that, and that can take 10 years to clear up.
Yeah, well, the problem is not so much the nicotine, that's the addictive component of cigarettes. If you analyze one puff of cigarette smoke, you would find 7,000 different chemicals, 50 of which cause cancer. And
so why hasn't he got cancer then? Why hasn't he got cancer, Doc?
It's not much of a question.
This does.
It takes some time to clear, but it does clear. And to your buddy Mike, who's there giving you a hard time, I'd say to him, I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah.
I may not have quit 20 years ago, but I'm quitting today, and I'm going to reap the benefits. I'll be able to walk more. I'll be less winded.
Yep.
And for those of us who are getting up in age, we could have stronger erections as a result of
stronger erections. Always a good thing.
See, that's one of the things that I've always had trouble with in the past, where people
a strong erection?
No, I've never had trouble with that. But people have always said to me that smoking and drinking will make you infertile over time. I've got 4 children, and 2 of them are still quite young, which is one of the reasons I've given up smoking. And I often wonder exactly how fertile I would have been if I hadn't smoked and drunk all my life.
Never mind the fertility, Doc. What about passing on to those 4 children that Mike has the deposits of tar and nicotine in his body, which will have gone into the embryo of his children? They will have been born. They will have been born as passive smokers, won't they?
As you can see, Doctor, science is not Porky Parry's strong point, I have to tell you.
Yeah, I hear that, and I just got to say to you, that's rubbish. You don't need to worry about passing anything through your semen to your children. But what you do need to worry about is secondhand smoke. So the fact that your kids get exposed to smoke is something that's not going to happen anymore because you have now successfully quit.
And I never did expose them. I have to say, I never
take any crap from that buddy of yours.
No, well,
tell him
I don't talk no crap, Doc.
And for your family.
Listen, Doctor, I'm very grateful for you to setting him straight on that. But believe me, I've had to put up with an awful lot of crap from him for many years, and so I'm quite used to it.
I hear that.
I don't think so.
Just in the few minutes I've been on here, I've heard that. You've done a great thing, and you've been a great model for your listeners. And I say to all those listeners out there, it's never too late to quit.
You're talking about this man as though he's some kind of a saint, Doctor. This man leads a dreadful life. He's not just a smoker. He's an excessive drinker. He has led the life of an alley cat in his past life. When it comes to relationships with the opposite sex. I mean, don't believe all the load of Biloxio you're getting from this man.
Hey, you know what I say? It's one step at a time.
Exactly.
If you quit smoking, it's okay to have a drink now and then and kiss your wife goodnight as well.
Exactly.
No
How about kissing
there.
somebody else's wife? What do you make of that? Listen, Doctor, thank you very much indeed. If people want to check your place out, are you on online, the Centre for Tobacco Research, by any chance?
Say that you just cut out for a second. Tell me that again.
Oh, sorry. You're the Centre for Tobacco Research. If people want to check out any information or anything, if you've got a website.
So if anybody wants to get any help in quitting, we're part of the University of Wisconsin Medical School. All you have to do is go online to www.ctri.wisc.edu.
Okay.
And there's help for smokers there, all free, all available, all in the public domain. We're just out to help as many people worldwide to quit because it's a nasty habit. It kills half of the people who are addicted to tobacco. And you're a great model, Mike, for your listeners to be able to do it.
Pass the sick
Fury,
bag,
thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
Alice, there's that name again.
Yeah.
We've never seen another letter from Alice. Maybe this week's Porky Postbag will have it in. We shall see. We'll be doing Postman Pork a little bit later on, of course, in the week. As indeed we will be doing the Porky Quiz, which is on the Grand National.
Yes.
Thank you very much for being so supportive. As the Doc said there, he knows I've got a lot to put up with. This is Talk Sport.
Thanks.
The Two Mikes, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
If I could make a wish, I think
We've teamed up with the Sun newspaper for a series of special audience events which kick off on Wednesday the 19th of April in London, and you can be a part of it. An expert panel will debate what Brexit means for you, and you'll have the chance to get your voice heard live on Talk Radio. Up on stage will be Talk Radio's very own Sam Delaney and Julia Hartley-Brewer, and a Sudbury MP, Dominic Raab MP, and political comedian Matt Ford.
That's right. Now, tickets are only £5, with all the profits going to St Thomas's Hospital, a very worthy cause indeed. Buy your tickets at thesun.co.uk/Sun Talks, where you can also, I'll give you that again, at thesun.co.uk/Sun Talks, where you can also find full details of the event, OK? Tickets will be limited, so book now to avoid disappointment. Go to thesun.co.uk/Sun Talks.
there's nothing left to be desired.
Do you like this record?
I do, actually. In fact, not only do I like it, I used to own the single, would you believe?
Yeah, well, I think I did as well.
I've never had a Hollies album, but I'm pretty sure I had this.
I've got the Hollies' best hits. And
have you?
Brilliant. There's this one.
I also had The Day That Curly Billy Shot Down Crazy Sam McGee, or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah, I do.
Which was a great song.
But this was a great song, The Air That I Breathe. The other one was He Ain't Heavy Is My Brother.
Yes.
That was a brilliant song. And there was another great one called Bus Stop. And it was a song about a bloke who met a lady at a bus stop.
That was an older one, wasn't it?
That's right. Shelter under my umbrella. Under my umbrella.
I remember that one. Yes.
But anyway, the point is that a very, very influential member of the Hollies was, believe it or not, a guy called Alan Clark.
I know, remember. He was a singer, wasn't he?
He was a singer. He was the lead singer. And the thing was, in those days, Alan Clark was also Leeds United centre forward.
He was.
So you had two outstanding Alan Clarks.
Yes.
One who was an international footballer and winning.
Luckily, they didn't look anything like each other.
They weren't dissimilar. And the other one was the singer of the lead singer of the Hollies, who is 75 years of age today.
Oh, really?
And I have to say,
I thought they were playing that because of the smoking.
No.
The air that I breathe.
Well, either that, or they did suggest to me we could play the other great one, which is He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother.
Yes.
But then I thought, no, we'll get a lot of jokes then about one or the other of us having to have carried the other one around all our lives on our backs.
Yes.
You know, he ain't heavy, he's not my brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that was also one of the terrible sort of legacies, and you'll know this story, I'm sure, from Northern Ireland.
Yes.
Of the hatred between the Republican movement and the RUC.
Yes, I know.
Because supposedly at Bobby Sands' funeral, when Bobby Sands' coffin was being carried out of the church.
I was there.
You were there, so you know this then. The RUC was singing that song.
Well, it actually, the actual details of it are almost right. It wasn't actually Bobby Sands. It was the second hunger striker.
Okay.
And it was when... What happened was, and this is a terrible story, this. It wasn't Bobby Sands. It was the second hunger striker. And I must admit, I can't remember his name now. Right. I used to know the names of all the hunger strikers because I lived through it and witnessed each one of them dying. Well, when I say witnessed, I was there and it happened. But the second hunger striker's coffin was carried by 6 of his sisters.
Right.
And that's why that song was sung in...
But pretty tasteless.
Shockingly provocative.
And very provocative,
and terrible. But that's the history too.
And they would have been there policing the event rather than by invitation, right?
They were told by their commanding officer, under no circumstances initiate any provocation here because we're in a very tense situation.
Yeah. But they were the police force.
They were the police force.
So, they were there ostensibly to keep order.
They were, absolutely.
Shocking thing to do, really.
And they used to have these, in Ireland, they used to have these Jeeps, Land Rovers actually, which were designed so that if you open, they had gates on the side. And when you opened the gates of one, it linked to another. So you formed a wall of Land Rovers. You see what I mean?
Yeah. And they were all down all the way to the ground, weren't they?
That's right, yeah. And it was like a wall. And when this terrible incident happened, a riot erupted, and it was a shocking riot. And it was a terrible episode in the Troubles, Yeah. But anyway, there we are.
Yes. Now, I've got a couple of quick announcements to make. One from Matt, who sent this in a bit earlier. Your biggest Brazilian fan, Jay-Z, would love it if Porky could wish her a happy late 33rd birthday.
Right.
And he says Porquinho, which of course is Porky in Brazilian.
And this is for...
well, the name is spelt Geise, but Matt says it's pronounced JC.
JC?
Yeah.
So, JC, I want to say to you, and this is Porquinho here, I say to you, you have a very happy birthday. My dear, you are 33 years of age. That is a great age, as you will get better and better. And I hope you will spend the day on the Copacabana beach, being ogled by fine men and being bathed by fine sunshine and drinking fine cocktails, my dear.
No, I'm sure you don't wish to be watching somebody being ogled by men on the Copacabana beach.
Well, that's what they do there. Yeah. I've been there.
Now, we're also going to give a shout-out to Emily, right, who says that she's bought some Porky scratchings for her son, 14-year-old Noah.
Brilliant.
Right? And she says he absolutely loves us and he can't wait to receive them. Yeah. And she realises there's been a few problems with the delivery system, but she's quite happy that it's been sorted out. Yeah. But she says if you guys could give Noah a shout-out, he would be absolutely ecstatic.
Well,
so his name is Noah Jennings.
Yes, Noah Jennings, age 14.
Yes.
Can I just say I hope you have a great birthday. Can I also say I'm delighted that you're going to receive...
I'm not sure it is his birthday.
Oh, isn't it?
I think he's just waiting for some Porky scratchings.
Oh, I see. OK. Well, sorry. Well, when it's your next birthday, have a very happy birthday.
Absolutely.
Enjoy the Porky scratchings enormously. And can I tell you now that only recently I met your namesake, Pat Jennings, when I went to Spurs to watch Everton play Tottenham. We lost 3-2, unfortunately. And Pat Jennings and I spent a happy few minutes reminiscing over football from the past.
Did you shake hands with him?
No, but I took a picture of me waving my hands and him waving his hands.
His hands are immense, aren't they?
They're like...
Now, how about this
buckets.
from Alan? It's good to hear a guest finally hit back at Porky's Bolloxios and put the plank straight.
Yeah, well, I mean, I thought
Dr. Fiore.
Thought it was a bit rough, because I normally get my facts completely right.
And the other Andy says, loving to hear how the good doctor for tobacco research on the 2 mics sussed out Porky in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Well, I think you gave it away when you said that you thought that tar could be somehow transmitted during the conception of a child.
Yeah, well, that's right.
Into an embryo.
Well, it can.
Well, it can't. He just said it can't be.
I tell you.
He said it can't be.
I can tell you.
He said it's rubbish.
You go to any fertility expert or any doctor.
Well, he said it was rubbish. He's a tobacco expert.
Or a gynaecologist or something like that, somebody who deals with childbirth or something, they will tell you that, of course, the deposits of tobacco and nicotine in the body can be transmitted to the fetus. Of course it can.
Well, he said no.
Well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Now then, can I tell you that on a much happier note than the last story we told about a song, He Ain't Heavy As Your Brother, that on this day in 1964... And I know that people accuse me of going on about the Beatles interminably.
Well, they do, because it's one of the things you go on interminably about.
But they did, in fact, change the culture of the second half of the 20th century. They were very important people. And on this day, in 1964, the Beatles held the entire top 5 of the American Billboard music chart, the only act ever to achieve the feat in a week. Their 5 songs at the top were Can't Buy Me Love, followed by Twist and Shout, She Loves You, I Want to Hold Your Hand, and Please Please Me.
Mind you, Ed Sheeran is doing quite well at this point to do something similar. He's not got, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but he's got something like 3 or 4 songs in the top 10.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
Which is not bad at all.
As a consequence of this amazing sort of phenomenon, Brian Epstein, who was then the Beatles manager, who later went on, I'm afraid, to take his own life due to the pressure of managing the Beatles or whatever, or his private life or something.
It's not like a sort of career move, is it?
What?
Well, when you said he later went on to, I thought you were going to say.
Sorry.
I thought you were going to say he later went on to manage, Led Zeppelin or something.
No. Sorry, sadly took his own life. I should say.
I mean, we shouldn't be laughing about it.
No, we shouldn't be.
No.
Well, I'm not laughing about it.
That's good.
Turned to John Lennon and said, "Okay, boys, next week you've got to beat that." John Lennon said, "Hell."
Yeah.
And guess what?
And then they made the movie and the song.
No, he and Paul McCartney then wrote the song in 20 minutes. Yeah,
right, absolutely right.
Yeah.
Now, Marty says this: I'm from the north of Ireland. The second hunger striker that died was Francis Hughes.
Francis Hughes.
And he says, "I'm impressed you know your Irish history."
Yeah, well, thank you very much indeed.
I think he's talking to both of us, actually.
Yes, he probably is. Yeah, indeed.
James says Mike Parry can't bear to listen to the fact that MG is a role model for quitting the smokes. Mm-hmm. That's true, isn't it? You can't stand it.
Well, no, I don't mind it.
You can't stand me becoming an icon.
I just don't believe it's going to last, that's all.
Yeah, but that's not the sort of supportive way you're supposed to be.
Well, you've done it before. You've given it up before.
I have given up before.
And then you've capitulated, and you'll capitulate again.
I don't think so.
No, you will.
Not this time.
No, you will.
No, I don't think I will.
I know you too well, honestly.
Really? How about this from D. Simbe, who says, the fool still drinks Red Bull with his dodgy ticker. And Paul says, Porky sounded more like Super Mario than a Brazilian.
No. I was just getting into the vernacular, as they call it. Lots of people are interested in my historical lesson in Caligula.
Well, lots of people are also very interested in your comment about the brothel in Pompeii.
In Pompeii, yeah.
Apparently you said it doesn't look like much of a brothel.
No, well,
compared to what?
Well, there's nobody in it.
Compared to what?
Well, most brothels, and
how many brothels have you been in?
I've never been in one.
I don't believe that.
I've never been in
one.
Why
have you never been in a brothel?
Why would I go in a brothel?
Well, you surely must have had a story to do in one at one point or other.
House of Ill Repute.
The only time I've ever been in a brothel was when I was doing a story. When I was sent down to the southern part of Spain.
Oh, yeah,
along with most of Fleet Street. No, it's a true story. You could ask anyone that was also there.
You say.
And we had to find this woman who'd left her children home alone.
Yes.
In Stamford Green, of all places. Or Stamford Brook, rather.
Oh, yeah.
In West London. And she was a woman of about 36, 37.
Yeah.
And had left her 2 kids, one of whom was about 8 and the other one was about 10.
Yeah.
Just left them in the flat and gone off to southern Spain.
Shocking.
And the belief was that she was either doing a bit of lap dancing or a bit of prostitution or something, or she was being sort of used by a local kind of Arab, high flyer.
Absolutely shocking.
To live life high on the hog. And so we all met up at Sinatra's bar in Porto Banús.
Yes.
And we
Porto
Banús. And we split up the job. And basically I was given the responsibility with a photographer from the Star to go to hit about 3 or 4 strip clubs and a couple of brothels.
Yes.
And it was very funny because I got to walk into a brothel with a picture of this woman and say, I'm looking for a woman, which I found very funny.
They're very funny indeed, yeah.
And they said,
I'm looking for this woman.
Well, no, because that was obviously spoil the joke.
Yeah.
And so then they all came out and were like, you've come to the right place, darling. And we all sat. But the most amazing thing about it was like something out of a sort of, I don't know, almost one of those comedy shows. Like League of Gentlemen.
And who found the said woman?
In the end, she was found by a reporter from The Sun, who rather stupidly then shared his find with everybody else.
I wouldn't have done.
No, you wouldn't have done. Neither would I.
No.
And she sat down and gave a sort of very quick interview to everyone, which everyone was meant to keep until the next day.
Yeah.
I went off and filed it.
Exactly.
And we got an exclusive.
Exactly. That's exactly the way to do it.
And that was, just another great victory.
You know, when I drive in every night from Stockbroker Belt, just as I reach sort of Greater London, I cross across a set of lights.
Yeah.
On Ambleside Avenue is the name of the road.
Right.
And about 100 yards to the left is the house, which was the famous brothel of Cynthia Payne.
Oh, right.
Who was...
I thought that was in Notting Hill.
No, right. Streatham.
Well, listen, can't hold that thought because we've got to get out of here for the moment, but we'll come back to that.
Indeed.
Because, of course, we are the Two Mics. This is Talk Sport. Coming up in the next hour, we've got to Ask Porky. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on, of course. We'll come back to that Streatham story. I've just been retweeting out a picture of Mark Donaldson, who said he was out and about with a whole collection of people.
That's right. Who are the guys he's with?
He's with Steve Nicholl, Stuart Robson, Ross Dyer, a guy that we've had on as well. He's an Everton fan, I think, from ESPN. Craig Burley. He's one Hercules Gomez.
Yes.
Who I'm not sure you would know. I don't know. And Dan Thomas, who we've also had on. He's another ESPN type.
Excellent.
So it's obviously an ESPN night out on the Terps.
Those guys are having a great time.
Looks like quite a few wine glasses on the table, a few pints of beer.
Yes.
I can't tell what sort of food they're eating. I can see a menu, but I can't quite make out what's on it.
Right,
but, they're in Connecticut, basically, because that's where their headquarters are.
Oh, is it? Right, okay. Which part of Connecticut?
It's kind of central Connecticut up towards, I think I'm right in saying, sort of... North of New Haven,
I know,
up towards sort of Hartford that way.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Central Connecticut, I
suppose.
Definitely.
Now, listen, I've got some really bad news for you.
Have you?
You know the bike situation, which annoys me and irritates me terribly.
It certainly is mentioned once in a while, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, those bike lanes are, of course, provided by, the Mayor of London, all that kind of stuff. And of course, it was Boris Johnson who first came up with the idea of starting this, because he copied it from Paris.
Yeah.
And the bikes that people ride along these bike lanes are usually their own, but often they take one of these bikes from a bike store, what's it called, a bike rank?
Well, a bike rank, I suppose, bike rack even.
Yeah, what do they do, put a pound in or something?
No, you need to do it with your credit card, because I think you have to open an account, basically, online.
Okay.
And then you get, and then you can swipe your card, I think, and you get the thing out.
I see, okay, fine.
Although I've witnessed people in the past trying or having difficulty putting a bike back.
Yes.
Because for some reason it doesn't always work.
Doesn't go back in,
or sometimes getting one out is not always that easy either.
Well, I've got much worse news than that.
Have you?
In China, an organisation similar to Uber have set up an alternative bike leasing organisation.
What, you mean a different method of doing it? A
different method of doing it.
Yeah.
There is no store. There is no rank.
Yeah.
You simply walk into a place where you want to hire a bike for the day.
Right.
And you pay the equivalent of like $5.
Okay.
And you go off on your bike.
Yeah.
But the bikes are non-returnable.
What do you mean?
When you've finished with it, you just dump it.
Well, like it's a disposable bike.
Disposable bike.
How's it going to be a disposable bike?
There are now hundreds of thousands of bikes lying around all over China which have been abandoned.
Well, that's a good idea.
And there's a bike store.
No, but it's a great idea. It's a great idea because presumably there are people who, if they want one of these bikes, can just find one at the end of their street
and pick it up and get on it.
Pick it up and get on it.
That's right.
For nothing.
Absolutely.
For free.
Absolutely.
That's great. Because one of the things that's always put me off the Boris bike problem, is where I live down by the river.
Yes.
It's only a couple of miles from here. I would quite happily cycle from here to there. But the problem for me is I don't want to buy a bike.
Where do you dump the bike?
Because I've got nowhere to put it, basically. I mean, I could put it underneath in my lockup, but it's a pain in the neck.
Yes.
But, I mean, if there was a place because I can pick a Boris bike up around the corner.
Yeah.
But if I cycle it to my house, there's nowhere to leave it.
You leave it against the wall, and then somebody else is supposed to come along.
See, that would work.
But anyway, this system is coming over here.
Right.
Chinese bike-sharing firms are vying to establish a foothold in the UK, sparking fears that British cities will be blighted by thousands of abandoned bicycles, which literally are just left lying around on the pavements.
Yeah, well, I mean, they won't be just left on the pavements, will they?
There are companies called Offo, Mobike...
Offo, your biko.
Yeah, that's right. Offo. Why don't you Offo? Seriously. It's called Offo, OFO. Mobike.
Yeah.
Like, mobile bike.
Yeah.
Mobike.
Yeah.
And Blue Go-Go.
Right.
Sounds more like a brothel than a bike hire company.
There's that theme again.
Blue Go-Go.
Yeah.
Are flooding Chinese cities with hundreds of thousands of rental bikes.
Yeah.
But unlike traditional cycle hire firms established in London, they do not use docking stations.
Yeah.
It allows customers to leave them anywhere they choose once they've finished their journey.
Yes.
This has caused chaos in some cities, with piles of discarded bikes cluttering popular destinations such as railway stations.
But you know what they could do to fix that? What they could do, which is the way they do it here, is that when sometimes there's an imbalance in, say, for example, the numbers of bikes in different parts of London, they have a guy with a trailer, and he goes around picking up the bikes from one part of London and moving them to another.
Yeah.
Because, for example, I suppose you might need more bikes in central London in the morning when people are going to work.
Nobody's going to do this with these bikes because
no, but they should. That's what I'm saying.
No, it's a cheap way of doing it. Now, not only that, but what they found was it's causing utter chaos in some cities. Piles of bikes, discarded bikes, cluttering popular destinations. More than 500 rental bicycles were found dumped next to a park in Shenzhen, which is in Guangdong province.
Yes.
Earlier this year.
Isn't Shenzhen one of the places with the football team? I think it is, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is, yeah. But I'm going to show you a picture now of what happens when people just suddenly decide to leave a bike. What happens is, once a number of bikes have accumulated in a little pile of, say, 10 or 100, it then becomes a bicycle dumping ground. And you then, you know where this...
Blimey.
I've just shown MG a picture of a bicycle dumping ground in the Shenzhen province. There are literally thousands of bikes.
That's true.
So if you think...
mind you, there's a lot of people in China.
Well, there's a lot of people in London.
Yeah, I know, but there's more people in China, is what I mean.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You can only get so many people into a few square miles, and there are a lot of people in London.
But wouldn't it make... What I'm saying about the reason why they should send someone around to pick them up is because they can then make more money.
How would you pick those up?
Well,
there are literally thousands of bikes piled on top of each other. In a queue, that goes on for half a mile.
Yeah, but you wouldn't let it get that bad.
Well, it is that bad.
But what I'm saying is that if you had a system whereby you went to collect them, then there would be money in it. There'd be an incentive because you take them back to the store, where you have to then get £5 again to
but
rent
you just said you don't want to be bothered in leaving them somewhere and getting your deposit back. You just want to leave the bike on the pavement.
I get that. But what I'm saying is the people who own the shops that rent them out in the first instance should have a duty to go and collect them.
Right.
That's the way it would work for me.
Now, this has got completely out of control because even when they started trying to recover the bikes, they found that most of them were broken. And that because they're rented so cheaply and, you don't have to get money back, people don't care, and they bend the pedals, they bend the wheels, they bend the handlebars, and in fact, the problem now is you've got literally thousands of broken bikes littering the streets in some Chinese cities, which nobody is prepared to collect because they're worthless. A broken bike is worthless.
It certainly does
not.
not
You've got a bike without wheels going round, it's a piece of junk.
It is. It certainly doesn't look like something we should want to copy.
Right, now it says here, Ofo, which manages 400,000 bikes in 24 Chinese cities, is now trialling this in Cambridge. Okay,
right.
Where there's a lot of students who cycle around on bikes.
Yeah.
Okay,
that doesn't sound like a good place to do it.
No, the first of about 500 canary yellow rental bikes are due to arrive today. Literally today.
Today.
Yeah. Today.
Literally.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, literally. Yeah, that's right. I'll stop saying that.
You haven't done it. You're still saying it.
Right. The bikes will be rolled out at the rate of up to 20 a day over the next 2 weeks.
Right.
For the first few weeks, they'll be free, right? You just pick them up and just cycle off on them.
That sounds even more mad.
Yeah. Before charges of 50p for a 30-minute ride are introduced. So look how cheap that is. It would take you only half an hour to get from here to your house on a bike, wouldn't it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Not even.
So that costs you 50p.
50p.
So,
well, it wouldn't be about the cost, to be honest. It would be about where I could leave it.
Right. Customers will use a smartphone app to release the bike's wheel lock.
Yeah.
Right. At the end of the trip, they can park the bike on the pavement and use the app to lock it again.
So you lock it, okay.
But most people don't.
Right.
What's the incentive?
So actually, it's not so much that anybody can pick it up and use it again, because you presumably must have the app in order to unlock the wheel.
Well, yeah, but if you're an app member, you can pick up any bike, can't you?
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is that, it's not absolutely and utterly free then, because it means, say, for example, I left mine in the street outside my flat.
Yeah.
And I locked it, then somebody can't just pick it up and use it. So they have to be part of the scheme.
That's right. Nevertheless, it's where you leave them which is going to be the problem.
Yeah.
Because the Cambridge City Council, which is powerless to stop Ofo because they've won the right to trade there.
Yeah.
From somebody, I don't know.
Well, it'll be from the local council.
Well, yeah, but this is Cambridge City Council. It says it's powerless to stop them. Said it's concerned about poorly parked bikes. They will cause a nuisance and obstruction to pedestrians, but also other cyclists.
Yeah.
The council has strong reservations about the battery-powered lights that will be fitted to the bikes.
Why?
I don't know. It says the Santander bikes, which is the bank that sponsors them in London, use lights powered by dynamos, which means they're always on when the bike is in use.
Yeah.
However, Ofo bikes rely on staff and customers reporting when the batteries have run out and the batteries are replaced. It is illegal to cycle on a public road after dark without lights and reflectors. Well, you wouldn't know if you're a motorist in this country. Number of times you see cyclists on bikes without lights.
Well, you know what I've found is most of the Boris bikes certainly have lights on, and they actually have an even more clever thing. They have a projection of a bicycle and in sort of green colour, which is projected out in front of the bike. So if you're sitting at traffic lights, you actually know there's a bike sitting there because you can see the reflection on the road.
Really?
That's very clever. I like that idea. And it means that you can see a bike coming. Even if there's somebody sitting next to you.
That's designed to make sure you don't turn left and mow the bike down.
Well, exactly, yeah. Which I think is quite smart.
Yeah, well, so do I do, yeah.
It may be the answer to the biking problem is that if they're all fighting amongst themselves, then somebody will come up with a solution. Hopefully. We shall see.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're up in Cambridge, keep an eye out for it, because we may need to hear from your own expertise.
Indeed.
Coming up in the future.
But
Ask Porky very soon.
Cyclists are suspect people in a lot of cases.
Incorrect.
In a lot of cases.
True. That is not true.
Not all cyclists are bad people.
No.
But some are.
Thank you. This is Talk Sport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on Talk Sport and Talk Radio.
There are 9 million bicycles in Beijing. That's a fact. It's a thing we can't deny. Like the fact that I will love you.
Now, you've previously used this song as evidence that there are actually 9 million bicycles in Beijing.
That's right.
Which is not necessarily evidence at all.
Why?
Well, because it's a song.
Yeah, but no, but why would you put a false declaration of fact in a song?
Because it rhymes, maybe?
Well, there are 9 million bicycles in Beijing. That's not a rhyming line anyway.
Well, I mean, you could say 5 million bicycles in Beijing. But 9 has a more alliterative sound, doesn't it?
What's the name of that singer?
Hey?
What's the name of the singer?
I can't remember her name.
I can. It was one word.
What?
It was one word.
One word?
Yeah, something like,
well, there's only one singer with one name, one word.
That's Adele.
Well, there's Adele, there's Rihanna.
Adele. No, it wasn't
there's
Rihanna.
Madonna.
Who? Madonna? No, it wasn't
not her.
It was... there are 9 million bicycles. Who was that? It was no, it was something like what was the name of that sort of mad folk singer in the 60s? You know what I mean?
What, Joan Baez?
No, she had 2 names.
Joni Mitchell.
No, that's 2 names as well.
Oh, do you mean Melanie?
Melanie. Yeah, it was something like
Melanie.
that. Yeah, it was something like that. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think she had one name. Katie Melua.
Ah, Katie Melua, was
it?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Sounds like Melanie.
Yeah, it sounds like that. Listen, by the way, we talked about, bands earlier, the Hollies, Beatles, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Do you realise how successful what's the name have been? One Direction.
One Direction. Funnily enough, I was just looking at a picture of one of them being sort of hanged by a helicopter. Well, not hanged, but being sort of supported by a rope.
That would be old Harry, would it?
Harry Styles.
Harry Styles, yeah.
Well, they have been incredibly successful.
Right, he's 23.
Yeah.
He grew up in Redditch.
Redditch.
That's where I lived.
Well, I know you lived in Redditch, but just because a lot of people lived in Redditch doesn't mean you can mention the fact that you lived there as well.
It was on the Worcestershire Warwickshire border. We used to go drinking in the boot inn at Mapleby Green.
Is it still there?
It is still there. Yeah, I drove past it about a year ago. Anyway, the point of the story is he is 23 years of age, descended from Norfolk farm labourers, but grew up in Redditch, Worcestershire, and later moved to Cheshire, where he attended Holmes Chapel Comprehensive, and he is now worth £56 million.
56 million?
56 million.
Okay.
And this is just... how long have they been around? They came second in the competition.
Yeah,
didn't they?
I mean, they've probably been around about 5 years or 6 years or something.
Yeah, anyway.
I don't know. I'm not an expert on One Direction.
Right, 7 years ago, they were a group of schoolboys revising their GCSEs. Today, Harry Styles, Louis Tomlinson, Zayn Malik, Niall Horan and Liam Payne, collectively known as One Direction...
Haven't they split up, by the way?
No, what I think they've done is, I think Harry has indicated he'd like to do a solo LP, as I understand it.
Well, I thought Zayn Malik said he was quitting the band.
Oh, I think you could be right. But anyway, look, let me just tell you this.
Go on.
Collective wealth is £262 million.
Yeah.
Now, it took the Stones a long time to get to that sort of wealth. I mean, like 40 years, you know what I mean?
How many millions?
262 million.
Yeah,
they're worth
I suppose.
as a band, right? This is verified by records filed this week at Companies House. And it showed the X Factor graduates have sold 10 shares in their firm, 1D Media, for £14 million each.
£14 million per share?
Yes. 10 people have bought in to 1D's future earnings, and they have paid £14 million for a share.
I mean, you wouldn't... What's the dividend on one share?
God knows.
I mean, it would have to be a lot, wouldn't it?
It'd have to be a hell of a lot.
I mean, I don't know what you would say that you would expect to make a return on a share.
Yes.
or what time period, but I mean, you'd be expecting to make that back, presumably over 10 years.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Anyway, to put it into context, the Beatles had each made £1.1 million at a similar point in their career, 7 years after they started, which in modern parlance would be 16.7 million.
Right.
So
quite a lot, but not anything like this much.
No, Harry's worth 4 times that. He's worth 4 times what each of the Beatles was worth. In the process, the 1D Quintet have gone for, high-class stuff, gone on the Primark onesies and the Citroen C3S, the modern hatchback, which they used to drive. They used to drive a Citroen C3S.
Well, all of them?
Well, apparently they were given them by Citroen, you see what I mean?
Right.
At the start of their career, but they now drive things like, Maseratis.
Well, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Bentleys,
sometimes.
Lamborghinis.
Even more expensive than that. Even cars where there's only like 10 in the whole of the world. You know what I mean? Those sort of things. Like they're made by like Ford and things like that.
Right.
But
can I just ask why you're telling me all this?
I'm telling you this because they are a musical phenomenon. They are the wealthiest young group in the world.
Are they?
Yeah.
Well, even wealthier than Adele.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. I mean, Zayn Malik, who you talked about, right, is known as the brooding one. He's worth 51 million, right?
Right.
He grew up in a rented home in East Bowling, which is Bradford.
East Bowling?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he has left the band, you're right. After leaving the band before the official hiatus, which has just begun, Malik was the first to release solo material going straight to number 1 on both sides of the Atlantic with his single Pillow Talk. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I knew that he'd done some stuff of his own, but I mean, the fact that he's worth that kind of money would suggest that it doesn't really matter what he does, really, does it?
No, it doesn't matter.
If he retires or never makes another album, doesn't make another single, I mean, he's worth enough money to never have to work again.
That's absolutely right. Now, he has not got a driving licence, but he has got a top-of-the-range Bentley Continental GT.
Very nice.
Parked on his driveway. He's got 53 tattoos, which cost him a total of £7,000.
Is this like the Fan Club's newsletter you're reading?
Well, it's just amazing. I mean, I respect people who are wealthy.
Well, I think you should go out and buy their greatest hits. Maybe you'd like them. Maybe you'd like to hear some.
I've never heard a 1D record.
Would you like to hear a One Direction record?
Well, maybe just out of interest.
Maybe we should play one.
What do they sound like?
Well, I don't think it's like sort of boy band type stuff.
Yeah.
You know, very vocally driven.
So these
people
guys
dance to it. You know,
is there any evidence that any of them can play a musical instrument, for instance?
Not that I'm aware of, no. But I would not confess myself to be an expert, right?
So these guys are singers and dancers, is that right?
Well, it's a bit. I mean, if you looked at, say, for example, Boyzone or Westlife, you know, two of the earlier incarnations.
They were just singers and dancers.
They were just singers and dancers, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they may have learned to play instruments later, or they may have decided to play instruments later.
That Gary Barlow is probably the only musically talented member of a boy band in the history of boy bands.
Well,
name me another one.
It's a big area, you see. The trouble, what I can tell you, is that people who are in the know about this stuff, and I'm certainly not one of them.
No, you're not.
When compared to you, I am actually. Before you start getting a bit too smart about it. One Direction. Whenever anybody criticised them on the radio or on TV, you would then be subjected to the most horrendous hate campaign by One Directioners who are their fans.
Well, I'm not necessarily criticising.
Well, you are. You're basically saying that they're not talented.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that they're an amazing success story, and if they've done it without a shred of talent as well, then they're even smarter than me.
That's what I'm saying.
And I'm smarter than the average bear.
Yeah, but it's not without a shred of talent.
Yes.
I mean, they may be without the ability to play musical instruments or without the ability to write songs, although that's maybe changing. But they are nevertheless talented, obviously, otherwise they wouldn't have got where they are. You can't get where they are without being talented at all.
But presumably their talent, and I'm not being funny now, is presentation.
Well, no. I mean, people like the way they look. People like the way they sing.
Yes.
People like the music that they perform.
Do they sing their own songs?
I don't know whether they write their own songs. I suspect.
No. Do they sing their own songs?
What do you mean? Are their voices dubbed? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Are those improved in studios?
Well,
and this sort of stuff?
Everybody uses.
And that's a question, not an accusation.
Everybody uses in the studio the tricks of the trade which are available. Auto-tune, they call it. They even do it in live shows, don't they? because they do it on the X Factor. I mean, everybody who sings, once they get to the final stages, they use a thing called auto-tune.
Well, hang on. Why haven't I been made aware of this?
Well, because you're a man who barely understands your telephone. So, I mean, the idea of me trying to explain auto-tune to you would be ridiculous.
I'm famous for my singing, so somebody
but everybody has
to this.
Everybody
this
has but everybody has now realised that actually your singing's okay. But when you want one of the two mics to sing for you, they prefer to have me singing because my voice is infinitely better.
What a load of
which
rubbish.
is as
Who told
witness.
you that?
Well, everybody who saw my singing of the Oasis song in Liverpool, would you like me to repeat that and put it? In fact, I'll put it out again, shall I?
No.
Yeah, let's have another. We'll have another listen to it.
I'm not sure
and I'll put it out on Twitter because people saw that I had my Ian, who was with me that night, of Ian and Julia fame, our fans who come and watch us.
Her daughter came across a road sign today.
A road called Parry Road.
Parry Road. Sent me a picture. Thank you very much indeed.
He, who is a big Oasis fan, described me as having a superb voice.
Oh, yeah, sure.
He did.
Listen, Kenny B has very kindly sent me a note saying, here's a can of Red Bull, Porky. In each can there are 8 spoons of sugar, the same caffeine content as a large coffee, and that all instantly raises your heart rate and your blood pressure. There are no positives at all to drinking this stuff.
Well, apart from keeping you awake.
Well, there must be, because millions of people all over the world drink it every day.
Because people like to be kept awake.
Yeah.
But it's not very good for you, and we can certainly tell you that. Now, coming up next, we're going to go Facebook Live. We're going to broadcast on the television on Facebook, so you'll be able to watch the video while having the Ask Porky section of the show recorded as well.
Yeah, get switched on now, folks.
Don't phone your mother. Phone talks.
Just joining in, because it was a very sort of emotional moment for anyone watching the Merseyside derby.
Emotional?
Emotional moment. I have loads of ties with Liverpool. You have no idea.
Can we just get on
I've
with
told
this,
you that I used to go to Liverpool games with my sister when I was about 12 or 13 years of age.
Yeah, you were a cop-out, were you?
She was a Liverpool fan. I was not. She fancied Steve Highway. That was where we used to go.
Yeah.
And I didn't. But I went along to keep her company.
Right, get on with it.
Now, here's one for... I've got loads of questions here, some from Facebook, some from Twitter.
Yes.
If you can answer them all as briefly as possible.
I will.
And as helpfully as possible.
I will. I'm here to help.
Here's one from Josh. When my daughter becomes old enough to play games, do I let her win or do I play properly so she learns how to lose?
You must initially allow her to win because that will really, really stimulate her enthusiasm to get involved. Now, what happens is she gets on a winning streak. She says, I like this. I like the idea of the sense of achievement by playing a game and winning it, OK? Then you start to shift the goalposts a little bit to make it more difficult for her to win. And then when she starts losing, you gauge the character and the personality of the girl to see how she responds to the negatives as well as the positives.
I see.
OK?
Thank you. Pete says this, as well as a bull worker, what else is in the Porky gym?
Well, I don't have a gym. What I have is I have a kind of spare room and I keep, a lot of files in there and journals and that kind of stuff. And that's where my bull worker is. I believe the very best exercise you can possibly do, and this is backed up by a lot of medical experts, is walking. And if you walk 3 or 4 miles a day, 2 or 3 times a week, you're doing yourself a hell of a favour and you're not doing your joints in like you would be doing it if you were a jogger.
Here's one from Kevin. Porky, I'm off to New York City for Easter. Apart from the sightseeing sites, can you recommend any good places to eat and for bladderation?
Ain't they pretty, New York City girls? I love it. I would get on at this time of the year, seriously, with spring coming, I'd get on the Circle Line. And that's a boat that goes round Manhattan, goes under all the bridges, passes all the tunnels, all the huge buildings.
Yeah, but I think he's going to do that, but I think he's looking for restaurants.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, the New York scene changes so rapidly that I'm better asking you about that. But I noticed the other day, you always recommend to people Smolensky's, 49th and 3rd.
Smith and Walensky's, yeah.
Yeah, Smith and...
It's all Smith and Walensky's.
Smith and Walensky's. 49th and 3rd, can't beat it. Historically, it has no peer.
Lord Matthew says this on Twitter. My daughter was born yesterday and will be coming home today. When can we get back on the bladderation trail?
Well, I'd forget the bladderation trail for a while. I mean, you've every right to wet the baby's head, of course, get a few of your mates round or get out there and celebrate with them, get the cigar on, bottle of champagne, glass of champagne or something. But you are now a father, and you have huge responsibilities to bring your child up. If you said it's a little girl, you've got even more responsibilities because you've got to make sure she knows her daddy's there to help her for the rest of her life.
Indeed. Luke and Nikki have asked this on Twitter. Yes. What's the worst trouble you've ever got yourself into? Remember, it's a family show.
Yeah, I try not to get myself into trouble, but I have embarked on 1 or 2 business ventures which didn't actually turn me into the multimillionaire I wanted to be, and it's always difficult to extricate yourself from those. But the biggest problem is always if you're affecting other people. But I can say hand on heart, whenever I've got into a pickle, I've got out and I've always made sure nobody else suffered.
Stuart says this on Facebook. I've arranged financial matters so that my mortgage is paid off a year before my first child goes to university.
Yeah.
But my wife now has her eye on a more expensive, bigger house.
Yeah.
Should I stay here for financial security in the future or move for more space and a bigger garden?
No, you've got to move, man. You've got to move. Believe me, I didn't know when I started buying property some 35 years ago that it would prove to be such a gold mine of long-term prosperity. But that's what property is, believe me. And you wouldn't believe how some of the people that we worked with in Fleet Street who'd sort of, come back to Fleet Street after the Second World War, they bought houses in Notting Hill for £10,000, which they're worth £7 million.
Yeah.
It's honestly, you can't beat property.
OK, here's one from Arthur, who sent it in on Twitter. Mr. Parry, I've been at work since Monday with a bad back and can hardly walk. Yeah. But if I don't work, I don't get paid. What should I do?
Well, you've got to keep working, man, but you've got to look after your back as well. I mean, you haven't told me what job you do. If you are a shop assistant and you're standing up on your feet all day, that's agony. So you've got to do something about it. If, however, you have a desk job, it means you're sitting most of the day. That in itself could have put your back out. I recommend you get to a back specialist sooner rather than later.
OK, here's one from Nicola. Porky,
Yes.
If you could be any age for a week, what age would that be and why? She's from Exeter.
Well, I understand what you're saying. I had a great decade during the 70s. I had a more responsible decade during the 80s. I suppose, really, I loved being the news editor of the Daily Express for 5 years. That was in the 80s, and the technology was such that newspapers were a big thing in those days. You felt you were on top of the world, so that wasn't bad. But I haven't really had bad years, so it's difficult to say. I quite enjoy now being on the other side of the hill, so to speak, and the parabola coming down, because most of the worries of what's going to happen to you in your life have happened.
You're on a parabola, eh?
Yeah.
You could get help with that.
Everybody is. You go up and you hit the top. It's like a space rocket, and then you slide down the other side. But sliding down the other side, if you've looked after all the problems, you should be comfortable.
OK, Ali says this. We are moving house in 2 days' time and our two new locals are a little insular.
Yeah.
Should we avoid them or persevere and try and make a social connection with these rather inward-looking people?
Well, it's a bit unkind to call them inward. They're from a community which is their community. They've grown up in it. I personally don't like small communities. I certainly don't like, a choice of only two pubs day in, day out, because you become known and people know your business and they are watching what you're doing and, they can talk and gossip, whatever. So I don't like small communities. So if I were you, I'd broaden your horizons and walk a couple of miles to, the next location.
Yeah, that would be popular with the locals, wouldn't it? They can just look out the window and see you walking to another pub.
What's it got to do with them?
Well, when you live in a community,
do your own thing.
It's not always easy to avoid.
You don't have to immerse yourself in a community.
Right.
Stand out and stand away from it.
Johnny says this. Porky, have you ever worn that hideous Canada T-shirt since the Cinnamon Challenge? I bet the stains are still present.
No, not at all. That belonged to my nephew, Tom, because that was filmed in the back garden of my sister's house in Bournemouth. And in fact, I didn't even have a T-shirt when we decided to do it. And I said, he's a big lad.
I'm amazed that you didn't have that sort of preparation. Why didn't you have a T-shirt to do it?
I wasn't even preparing to do it until we got there and decided to do it. Because he'd seen it.
So it was as a result of a conversation with him?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the answer is no. But we've still got it. In fact, I suppose it'd be worth quite a lot of money, really, one of these days if I sign it, because 30 million people have now seen it.
That's true.
Yes.
Now, a couple of Grand National-related questions. I'm going to run them together.
Yep.
Jason says this. So you are facing the chair at the Grand National. Do you need a good spring or a safe landing to overcome it? You might like that one. Or this one from Kerry. Porky, as you're the master of all sports and all things financial, can you give me the winner of the Grand National?
No, I can't, because the problem is I saw the list of 70 horses the other day which were originally entered for the Grand National. 40 runners will eventually start the race, right?
So will 30 disappear then off the list?
Yeah, that's right. They will. Yes, they will. Definitely will. And it's such a huge race with so many pitfalls, so many fences, so many obstacles that you'd be mad. Nobody could ever possibly say there's a dead cert favourite for the Grand National. That's impossible. So you've got a choice of half a dozen horses, and that could be, if I gave you 6, that would be 6 out of possibly 20 that you could say I'll put my money on. So I don't advise anybody. It would be wrong because I couldn't possibly be right.
Parker says this, like you, my team are rubbish. Instead of constant pain, can you suggest another sport to follow? This guy's a Blackburn Rovers fan, by the way.
Well, you've got loads of problems at Blackburn. I mean, what's the name of the family? The
Venkeys.
Venkeys, that's right. Yeah, the Venkeys who own it seem to mostly be based in India, and they seem to have a problem locating with the local people because there's always seems to be a fan revolt going on there. So I do feel sorry for you because you were the outstanding Premier League winners of the early days of the Premier League, but you have got real problems, and there's not a lot of clubs that have similar problems to yours. Certainly mine hasn't. I hope it resolves itself for you.
Here's another football question. Enzo says, will Juventus win the Champions League?
Well, they might, but I think Real Madrid are going to win it because I think that team is geared up to Champions League football, particularly with Gareth Bale back and Ronaldo, of course, wanting to cement what's been an incredible year for him, footballing year, that is, being the captain of the European champions, being already the holder of the Champions League trophy and winning World Player of the Year. I think Real Madrid.
Porky says, Jamie, how do you solve a problem like North Korea?
Yeah. I think you'll find, because I've been talking to my military contacts, in military intelligence, that North Korea, they reckon, are about 3 years away from being able to put a nuclear warhead on top of one of their rockets.
Oh, yeah.
They fire the rockets up in the air all the time, but there's nothing on them at the moment. And that's the reason why President Trump made, quite a very, very strong statement telling China to look after North Korea, or he will, because it will come within the remit, they think, of his 4-year term as president.
Yes, so he's going to deal with them one way or the other.
Yes.
Stuart says this, on the other hand, it was WrestleMania on the weekend. If you were a pro wrestler, what would your wrestling name be and why?
First time I saw Worldwide, whatever it's called, is it WWF?
WWF, yes.
Yeah, it was in...
or WWE.
Yeah, somewhere in Ohio, and specifically to go and see The Undertaker. Who kicked his opponent out of the ring into a coffin and all that kind of stuff.
Somebody sent me something about him, actually. I think he's just retired.
He's just retired, yeah. Well, anyway, the point is, I would never get involved in it anyway because I think it's theatre, it's not sport, so, But if I ever did become a WWF or a WWE wrestler, I would, of course, be called the Porkmeister.
The Porkmeister?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's a fair enough one, I suppose.
Yes.
Oliver says this, what should I do? I have a diesel SUV and can't afford £20 added tax.
Yeah. Well, I'm delighted that there are some murmurs now in political circles that Theresa May, our Prime Minister, is saying, look, this clampdown on diesel vehicles and charging them huge fines for driving into cities is wrong because it was politicians who advised people to buy into diesel in the first place. However, the other side of that coin is that people who own diesel cars are becoming increasingly worried that their value is decreasing rapidly because of the scourge of the diesel engine, which do-gooders and clean air fanatics are promulgating.
Although it's only from 2014 and back, so actually you should be all right.
Yeah.
Because you said it was all diesels yesterday, but it's only from 2014. Porky says, Richard, do you wear a pedometer, and how many steps would you say you walk in a day?
No, I don't wear a pedometer. I don't need to, because the way you feel good about walking is to walk so that you can feel the air going in and out of your lungs, and particularly in sunlight, it has a very beneficial effect on your skin. You get vitamin D from being out in the fresh air and walking at speed because it pumps your heart and absorbs vitamin D at the same time. Don't need a pedometer because that means that you're putting yourself into a regime of you must go that far. You go as far as you comfortably feel you can.
OK, one final one from Paul.
Yes.
Where can I buy a cucumber directory and a copy of the Helicopter Weekly?
You can buy Helicopter Weekly at any good newsagent, providing you ask the newsagent to order it for you, because it's a very
specialty magazine.
It's a specialty magazine, and it's not widely distributed. As for the cucumber, I would just get yourself a copy of one of the multitude of gardening magazines on sale everywhere, and specialise in the section marked cucumbers.
OK, thank you very much. That was indeed Ask Porky. There'll be another one same time next week. We didn't get to your question. We apologise. We will try and get there again sometime in the future. But also, don't forget, if you wish to watch the proceedings that you just heard, then you can go to Facebook Live and it can be recorded right there. This is TalkSport.
The Two Mics, simulcast across the UK on TalkSport and Talk Radio.
that Liverpool recording again they've somehow dug out.
Drivel.
It's good, isn't it?
Drivel.
Why can't you be in any way complimentary to me?
Well, I mean, it sounded so loud and brassy, no feeling in it whatsoever, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, everybody else seemed to like it, so you're the only one who is in dissent.
Somebody's saying here, is there a reason for this One Direction fan club update? Sorry, guys, but the preteen girls are asleep now.
Yeah, well, I did wonder that. I did wonder why you were giving us all these details.
I tell you why, because most of the time I go, you're obsessed by the Beatles and all that, right? So, despite the fact that the Beatles changed the course of British life in a way that nobody else ever will, I thought, I'll tell you what, I'll go modern. I'll talk about One Direction, their wealth and all that. And then what do I get? I get hammered from people saying, nobody wants to know about One Direction.
Well, I think you're probably right not to go modern, as you put it. But we're getting lots of very nice messages on Facebook where you can go and watch the Ask Porky section once again.
Oh, yes.
Many people who are listening in Australia, right? Arthur says, morning to the two mics from the east end of Glen Waverley, Victoria, Australia.
Yeah.
Steve says the best mid-morning show in the world, at least here in Australia.
Yes.
And lots and lots of people from Australia are asking questions about whether they can, when they come here, where they can go, and all of that. The problem is at the moment when we are actually live on Facebook, because of the way that we're both having to ask the questions and answer them.
Yes,
we're not actually able to answer questions that are posted live. We might have to try and fix that.
Yeah, we must try and fix that
so
definitely.
that we can do that because there's quite a few questions that have come up.
I totally agree.
And Sargon says, "You guys are legends. I listen to you every night when I'm driving around the country."
That's very kind of you.
So
Which country?
Lots of listeners from. Well, I think he's in this country.
Oh, in this country.
And lots and lots of different parts of the world. Hello from New York, says Willie.
Yeah.
A couple of people saying hello from Leicester. A couple of people from Shell Harbour, Australia. Do you know where that is?
Shell Harbour?
Yeah.
Is that near Sydney?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
I don't know.
You've been there. And on the WWE front, here's one from Marty. He says, Porky's wrestling name should be the Porkinator, and his finishing move should be he could put you to sleep with his porky tails.
Oh, right, okay. Never thought about that one.
That's good, isn't it?
Talking about groups and bands, okay.
Yeah.
Now, gave you a stat earlier saying that the Beatles had the top 5 places in the charts. The first Beatles record for 5 years not to get to the top was Penny Lane and Strawberry Fields.
Yeah.
And the reason was that a bloke called Jerry Dorsey, right?
Jerry Dorsey, that name rings a bell.
Yeah, okay, absolutely.
Was he related to Tommy Dorsey?
No, he wasn't. But what happened was, in those days, there was. Did your mum and dad ever sit you down and say, right, tonight we're going to watch Sunday Night at the London Palladium?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Yeah, we did, actually.
Because I think everybody did. Well, the thing is, there wasn't anything to watch. I mean, it wasn't like you went, well, you know what, I don't really want to watch that. I want to watch something else. Well, because that was all there was.
Just to familiarise our millions of listeners out there who may not understand, Sunday Night at the London Palladium was a bit like sitting down and watching Ant and Dec's Takeaway on Saturday.
That's right.
It was regular, wholesome family sort of entertainment, you know?
Yeah.
And anyway, the start of that night was a guy called Dickie Valentine, who I can barely remember.
I don't remember that.
No. Anyway,
I remember it's worse than that, right? I mean, we probably shouldn't even talk about this, but I remember being taken by my parents to the Black and White Minstrel Show.
At the London Palladium.
At the London Palladium.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And do you know what? Somebody like Bruce Forsyth could have been the compere or something like, or Norman Wisdom or somebody.
Yeah.
But anyway, what happened was this particular night, and the show went out live because they didn't have the capacity to record things and then put them out within minutes of them finishing, you know.
And they didn't have the sort of delay stuff that they could do.
Exactly. They didn't even have the recording facilities to sort of, do the tapes and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So this guy, Dickie Valentine, so they, at very short notice, found this penniless bum who was a singer who...
Penniless bum.
Yeah, literally. Who they rang up an agent and said, Dickie Valentine's ill. Have you got... And he said, oh, yeah, Jerry, he lives in a bedsit in somewhere like Notting Hill or somewhere. So they got him in. So he went on stage. They had Jerry Dorsey. Doesn't sound too good. His manager came with him and said, don't worry, he's got another name. We've just changed it for him. It's Engelbert Humperdinck.
Ah, yes.
So he goes up on stage. He didn't have a clue what he was going to do. And his manager suggested he sang an old ballad called Release Me.
Yeah.
Right?
Please release me, let me go.
Please
I remember it.
release me, let me go. Yeah. For I don't love you anymore.
Which became a bit of a word for you, really, later in life.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it?
Well, it did.
Anyway.
He had the massive sideburns, didn't he?
Massive sideburns.
Did he have those then, or did he kind of work those up?
I can't tell you the answer to that one.
No.
All I can tell you is, from that one Sunday night appearance, He sold 125,000 copies a day when it was released the following Tuesday.
Well, what a showcase. I mean, because the other thing, I guess, that these guys didn't know was the music business was going to become this massive business.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look at it now.
Exactly.
I mean, you would have never said in 1960, whatever it was, that, you could make the kind of money that these people are making now.
Absolutely. Anyway, the latest Beatles record, and the Beatles had conquered the world, and every Beatles record that came up was a number one, was just released on the Friday, but after they released Please Release Me, it was selling 125,000 a day. That was even more than the Beatles.
Yeah.
It sold a total of 1.38 million records in its first week.
Wow.
And it stayed in the charts, this is a single, not an LP, for 56 weeks.
Blimey.
It was amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So they didn't release Penny Lane then, or did they?
Yeah, they
release
did, but it never made number one. It got to number two.
Right.
Got to number two.
Right.
And this guy literally was dragged out of his unfurnished one-bedroom flat in London's Shepherd's Bush.
Shepherd's Bush.
That's where he was living.
Yeah.
Above a restaurant,
right.
and dragged into the London Palladium to do it. 2 years later, he moved into the mansion in Surrey next to John Lennon.
Wow. Amazing. Is he still alive, Engelbert Humperdinck?
Yeah, he is. And he's about 80. And he still performs as well.
He still performs,
yeah.
blimey.
Absolutely amazing. Eh?
It is extraordinary. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
No, just I'd let you know, because people now are telling me that I'm getting too young, talking about one day. Then they tell me, you get too nostalgic, talking about the history of the Beatles and all that. So, you can't please all the people all the time.
Somebody's done a horrendous thing to me. Published a picture of me, which I'm about to retweet. It's from David.
Yes.
He says, what's happened to you since you quit the cigarettes? Well, look at
that. Somebody's mocked up the picture. Yeah. Made you look like a woman.
Yes.
Yes.
A woman.
And who's done that?
Well, it's from David.
Oh, I see. Young Julia normally does things like that.
Well, there's a few people that do it, yeah. It's quite disturbing, isn't it?
It is quite disturbing, yeah.
It's with lipstick and sort of, not much change, but just enough to make it look weird.
Yes, very weird indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've just seen that, yeah. What's up? You quit? Yeah, David Waite has done that, yeah.
Quite a few people have also posted pictures of Greater Anglia, which I presume is the railway company, tagging bikes that may have been abandoned at Cambridge Station, with a 2-week warning to remove them.
Right, well, there you go.
So this is obviously the fight back from the system of this new go-go bike system.
Yes, absolutely.
So if people leave their bikes at the station...
That's right.
They're going to remove them.
Yeah, exactly.
But where are they going to remove them to?
Well, this is the point. They will eventually pile up in heaps. And, like...
well, no, because the railway people will presumably put them somewhere.
Well, I don't know. The scourge of modern society is fly tipping, without a shadow of a doubt, okay? And I have to be very careful. I had a great victory a couple of weeks ago. I think I told you. Somebody tried to leave a couch outside. And I went banging on doors.
I think you did tell me.
Yeah, and I said, you get that couch removed, okay? Otherwise, we're calling the police. Fly tipping is a crime, but also we will throw you out because it's you are, revoking the terms of your lease.
You must have some pretty awful people living in that dodgy place of yours now, then.
No.
Some pretty undesirable tenants.
Not at all. Where I live is an exclusive block.
Well, hang on. You said they were jumping the stuff in your exclusive block, though.
What they'd done is somebody had come in and put it out, and I actually got the wrong end of the stick. It was put outside, waiting for a vehicle to come around and carted away.
Oh, so you got all excited for no reason.
And I put threatening notes all over the place. I don't think you did
tell me this story.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I put threatening notes all over the place. Move that couch. I was then
You must be regarded as the local nuisance.
No, I was regarded as a hero by most of them, who said, you got that couch moved very quickly, Mr. Parry, well done. And I said, nobody messes with me. But in fact, they were due to move it anyway.
But these are people that live in the building, right?
These people live in the building.
Well, what sort of a relationship can you possibly have with anyone if all you do is go around sort of trying to push people around?
I make sure that nobody messes with me. In fact, I've got a good system now, because if anything turns up which I don't like, I employ somebody to come and throw it into the garden to properties.
Do you know
away.
what I would do if I lived in your building?
Yeah.
I'd block your drains.
Why?
Just because you're a nuisance.
No, I'm not a nuisance
because you're
at
always
all.
sticking your nose where it's not wanted.
But
you're always telling other people what to do. So I would play a series of pranks on
but you need more people like me to make societies...
No. Because it's not, you are not elected
civilized.
by anyone. No, you are not elected by anyone or nominated by anyone in your building to be the conscience of the building.
Well, nobody else would do it if I didn't.
Yeah, but you've obviously done many things there which are incorrect. I mean, you just admitted that you were wrong to send all these horrible notes to people.
Yeah.
And have you gone around to all of them and apologised? No.
Yeah, but it's better than not sending the notes, and then the couch might have stayed there forever. The reason I now have them removed into the garden of a property 2 gardens away is because that building has now been bought by a developer who's going to knock it down.
So when have you started putting things in the 2 doors away property?
Oh, for the last sort of 3 weeks.
What sort of things?
If I think that the bins are getting overflowed or something like that, I'd tell people to go and chuck
you go and chuck the rubbish over there?
Yeah.
Well, that's worse. That's worse than being not a good community person. That's actively being a bad community person.
No, it's going to be knocked down soon.
That doesn't mean you should put a load of rubbish in there.
By the way, how about this for a great story? So the developer goes and buys these 2 properties, 2 big old semi-detached houses, which are, semi-detached, right?
Right.
And they had been turned into a sort of like a nursing home type thing, you know what I mean?
Right.
Now, the local authority are very, very reluctant to allow those to be redeveloped because they need the facilities for old people,
so
right?
They don't want to kick the old people out, do they?
Don't want to kick the old people out.
So they're not doing that, are they?
Well, what's happened is, this is quite interesting, is that developers quite smart and said, we will rehouse all the old people.
Right.
So they went and rehoused all the old people.
Okay. We haven't got time to talk about it.
They bought the property for 1.7 million.
Yeah.
They've just sold it for 2.35 without developing it.
Right. Well, look, I'll help the old people. We'll come back to that tomorrow. This is Talk Sport. Don't forget to follow the 2 Mics at the 2 Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for 2 Mics TV. Was the first cup particularly weak?
No, not at all.
Really?
It was my normal sort of strength. And forever now, I will be using tea bags twice. It means that I will save enormous amounts of money on boxes of 80 tea bags.
How much does it cost to buy a box of 80 tea bags?
About...
you don't know, do you?
Yes, it's about £5.60.
Rubbish.
Isn't it?
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The enduring home of football.
It's modern radio, only better.
Talk Sport.
And you'll never